That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
articulate and intelligent.
Greg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck them.
Terrible! Bad! Not bad!
Oh, pretty good.
Okay! Decent! Fair! Great! I loved it!
This sucks.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
Welcome to Detroit Red Card. No, I'm just kidding. Let's get to start off with a rant. Brett, just start straight off with a rant.
Just because one rant did well doesn't mean all will, Derek.
Yeah, no, I was just fucking around. I mean,
so because all of our rants do well. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, interesting elephant in the room we'll get to later, but yeah, weird week. Not something I expected, but okay. So anyhow, yeah, the turn in the background says, "Welcome back to a very sad straight card. Play taps. Panama have won. I'm distraught. My wife slept with her Panamanian boyfriend last night. He entered both of her canals." All right, that's a good one, man. That is well done. The turd in the background. He's back. Berlin is back. Has a legit crazy 2 months of fucking lots of Polish women. No, I'm sorry, I made that part up. Sorry, I couldn't make it. Or RT the tweets. It's all right, man. Hey, life's it's been interesting and spicy. But glad you came back at just the right time. So things are going, I guess, pretty well. I can't complain. And on the way ups, I guess we needed that kick in the ass. Ash, y'all thinks this will serve as a wake up? We'll get to that because it did serve as a wake up. And we have.
Are you referring to our rant or the loss?
Yeah, if you're referring to the loss.
Blaming on the semis, I think is what Ash is talking about.
No, I don't think so. I thought he might have meant the Fox coverage.
He or she. Can't quite tell if Ash is a male or female by just the name Ash.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it will. I really don't. It might serve as a wake up that, hey, you don't send a BC team to the Gold Cup. Maybe if you're just going to fuck around and not value it, you take a whole team that's full of prospects and young players and some of the guys that.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that too because Herc has an entire clip about that. So I figured we'd talk about that later.
I mean, if you're going to fuck around, go ahead and fuck around.
Yeah.
Let's not even pretend anymore. And yeah, the fate of the Gold Cup going forward is on shaky ground as far as being an important tournament. As much as Fox tried to.
It's weird how Nations League has totally leapfrogged that, but maybe it's because Nations League is earlier in June, and that gives the Euro players time to
rest,
relax,
and
see their family before heading back to another long season in Europe.
Yeah, another long season. Yeah,
the timing of the Gold Cup could be the failure here.
How about you cut the Gold Cup down to just a knockout tournament with the top 16 teams that were already pre-qualified through some other route, i.e. the Nations League or whatever else you want to use to determine who the top 6 teams are, and just have a knockout tournament and be over it. Because let's face it, the group stage, for the most part, in most years, is useless. We already know who the top 2 teams.
Exactly. Yeah. You know which 2 teams are moving on. Now, the big question obviously would be who's going to finish first, who's going to finish second, you know?
Sure.
But,
yeah. I mean, there's an occasional but not very often. Juan Sex Fitty Juan. Juan Sex Fitty Juan.
One sex? $51. That's why I read that.
Okay. One Sex Fitty Juan, $5. All right. That should be the very last. By the way, thanks for the $5, my friend. Yeah. That should be the very last time we see the Morris Roldan in a U.S. men's national team kit. We'll get to this later, but yeah. I mean, that would be something you would think. Now, of course, Morris could say, well, you know, my left testicle was swollen most of the tournament. I wasn't able to move the way I wanted to. That affected my left knee because I was compensating for my left testicle being so large and swollen. And he could say it was injury. Roldan has no excuse. He missed. I mean, he just missed a sitter in this tournament. He missed a penalty kick. Listen, I think there's a time and place for a guy to say, hey, it's been fun, but I think I've done enough of this, and farewell. I mean, but if Greg keeps calling him up, I mean, what's he going to say? I mean, he could say no. There are players who do say no. They do exist. There's one called Nagby, and he said, nah, no thanks, dude.
That was for a whole different reason, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nagby got the playing time that Roldan did. It'd be different.
Yeah, but he never really did. And he actually was an afterthought about being called up, which is why he told Greg to go fuck a bike. Truly,
nah, bro, I'm good. Thanks, appreciate that.
Exactly. And Greg's like, well, fuck a bike. Where do I stick it? Truly amazing. GGG thinks in the chain, Greg, in the chain area. Truly amazing. Greg thinks both belong anywhere near the A team. I don't know if he still thinks it. I mean, you would think a guy is sane, right? And you would think, yeah, that's probably enough to prove the point. And, when Panama is by far the superior team in a game, and it's not like you go down the list of Panama's roster and go, holy fuck, they're loaded. They're not. They're a good, solid team. We were not.
We'll go over this in more depth.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
We got more. Damn. All right. We're starting off strong here. Adam Wiggins. Thank you, brother. We know you've been around for a long time, and we do appreciate it. As soon as John Strong said, ace in the hole, I said, yeah, he gonna miss. Yeah, John Strong said a lot of fucking stupid shit in this tournament. That was quite irritating. I've never really disliked John Strong until this tournament. I've never really been
the Canada game.
And I don't hate the guy. Exactly. I don't hate him. I don't think he's a bad person. This isn't hate as in like real hate. People call you, oh, you're a hater. No, I just think what he said sucks. And, he's welcome to come back and say, hey, listen, it's my job. They told me what to say, and I fucking said it. And that's probably what happened. So I really can't blame that on John Strong, maybe, but I don't know. Does John Strong write parts of his own script for the games when he's calling them? Because if he does, he put a lot of fluff in there, a lot of fluff. And these players didn't need fluff. Honestly, building them up like that only makes it look worse when they play like they did in Panama. So you're actually hurting them. You're making them look worse by talking them up so much to like the casual fan. And then the casual fan's like, these guys are fucking atrocious, instead of just being honest about what we were watching.
Yeah.
That would have been nice, because then we could have all said, hey, we're the underdogs going into this tournament. We didn't hear the word underdog until we were about to go play Panama. And that came out of somebody's mouth. I can't even remember what was it, a do? I don't know. Somebody said it on the set. But
again, I guess we'll get into the game itself longer here, or in a little bit. But I guess the idea of the underdog kind of confused me when you said, like, oh, they were talking about us being the underdog. I'm like, well, why? I mean, I know Panama just smoked Qatar 4-0, a couple days back. But are the teams really that far off? Are we really that big of an underdog as far as talent is concerned?
I think, yes, that's what they said pregame. They said this Panamanian team on paper is a better team. They said that.
Really different.
Now, that's in stark contrast to what they said before, obviously. But I think as the tournament went on, either A, they realized this lineup's pretty not good, or B, because they went on stroking everyone's cock on that team until through Canada, the Canadian game, right? So I don't know. We'll get into did they hear the message in a second or down later in the show when we talk about the elephant in the room. All right, what do we got next? Or can I just tell you about my week?
Oh, let's go into the fluff.
Okay.
Got 106 people here. Let's talk about the serious stuff.
the serious stuff. So one of the videos that came up on my my little list of videos this week, got recommended to me was, and it may be because I was worried about having to self-defense myself. Some crackpot was going to find out where I lived, come kick my ass. I don't know. But the video that came up was dirty fight moves. And essentially, the whole video is just you taking the first punch. I don't understand it. That's just like some guy gets in your face and you don't wait. You just jack him right in his fucking esophagus.
Oh, you mean you make the first punch? I thought you said you take the first punch. Like,
no,
you take it, I'm like, how does that
boom.
Work out? So that's not dirty. I mean, you just, no, I thought when you talk about dirty moves, I'm thinking like, grab him by the testicles or something.
No, that's part of it. Part of the video was, you punch the dude in the balls, and he gave you the whole methodology of doing it. He said, or you can punch him right in the throat. Or, there were all these moves, but you were making the first move, which I guess makes it dirty. But I don't know how that's...
Somebody's got to make the first move.
But fights...
You might as well be Han Solo in this situation.
I guess. You mean with the Greedo thing.
Yeah, well done. Nicely done, Derek. This might be the first movie reference I made where we're actually on the same page. It's pretty nice.
That's pretty awesome. But you're right. I guess I have been dirty before in a fight. I was told by a guy in gym class he's going to find me after school, and he knew I was on the tennis team, and he was going to find me out there and beat me up because I can't remember what I did to him in gym class, but he didn't like it. He's a bigger dude than me, but I was on the wrestling team, so I knew I had some, I had some tricks up my sleeve, but I thought this would start standing, so I thought I'm going to cheat. And so he started approaching me at the fence. My friend who was next to me was like, oh, shit. He backed up. And as I put my bag down and my tennis equipment down, there was all this fucking gravel. And I grabbed a big handful of fucking gravel. And when he got close to my face, I fucking chucked that shit right in his face. Just whack, right in his eyeballs in his face. And he went like that. I went pop. Down he went, out cold. That quick. That's all it was. And the fight was over. And his friend stood over.
You didn't need the video. You already
I already knew dirty tricks because I knew if I let him move first, I was going to get my ass kicked, or it would have been brutal. It was going to be brutal. And then I thought his friends would come at me, but they just stood over and laughed at him. He said, "You got knocked out, bitch!" And they were just laughing and making fun of him. I'm like,
Tebow!
And then thankfully the tennis coach showed up. I didn't get in any trouble at all, shockingly, on school grounds, punching a motherfucker out with one punch.
Have you ever seen Dazed and Confused?
Think so.
So it was a movie from the 90s that takes place back in the 70s. The last day of school. It's got one of the London brothers in it.
It sounds familiar, and I probably did see it, but I've wiped a lot of movies out of my memory.
And I can't think of the guy's name. He's in Band of Brothers and all sorts of stuff. But he's kind of a nerd to an extent, kind of one of those awkward, nerdy type guys. He's not necessarily a nerd. And he was so pissed off because this just hard ass, wants to get into a fight guy kind of poked fun at him or whatever. And he's like, I've got it all figured out. I'm going to throw the first punch. In a place like, at a party like this, they're never going to want the fight to get out of control. So they'll break us up before it continues. And he goes over there and he punches him.
I think I remember.
And he looks around and nobody's breaking them up, and then he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get my ass kicked, but I thought I could get hurt. So I was hoping the tennis coach would show up to open up the tennis court fences, but he did not in time for me to get out of that. So I had really no recourse. But I tell you what, the whole thing about being a wrestler in high school gives you a lot of confidence. Like, you can hang in there even against somebody who's bigger than you if you get on the ground, which most fights end up in the ground anyhow. All right. And that brings me movies, right? Yeah. Napoleon, the movie coming out. I am excited about that.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
With that guy, who's Joaquin Phoenix. When I used to be younger and thinner, people used to say I look like him. I'm like, okay.
Joaquin or River?
No, not River.
Because what was Joaquin's earliest movie? I mean, was he really a movie star when you were younger?
Gladiator, I think was like
okay. So when you say younger, you mean like in
like
your
10 years
mid-20s
ago.
to 30? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, like 10, 15 years ago, whatever that.
I thought you were
movie
saying
came
like
out.
when you're like 12 or something like that. And I'm like,
No,
that's what
no,
I'm like.
no, no.
Are you thinking of like maybe River? Because I don't think Joaquin had anything out there.
People told me when I was even younger I looked like John Belushi, Robin Williams,
I can see Belushi now.
And Joaquin Phoenix when I was really in good shape and thin. All right, so there you go. Those are all the things. I never found a doppelganger though. That's for sure. Berlin Americana says 17 likes and 117 watching. I guess we better start talking about soccer or else nobody's going to like the video. Like the video and we'll start talking about soccer. All right, here we go.
So years ago at I went to a concert. I'm trying to remember what concert it was, but I can't think of it. Might have been the No Doubt Paramore concert, but I can't think. That might be
I go to see No Doubt.
Yeah. So I happened to run into somebody that I went to high school with, and she was shit with her. She made the comment that she goes, you look a lot like Woody Harrelson. And I go, do I really? How much have you had to drink? Have you been partaking today? Come on. What's the matter with you?
You don't look anything like fucking Woody Harrelson.
What's the matter with you? Yeah,
exactly. I think actually you're probably better looking than Woody Harrelson. At least you were. So. You were when I met you. You're getting uglier by the year.
Derek. Take a look at me right now.
You're really hot. Oh, by the way, so I got to go to that Napoleon movie, and if I can't talk my dad to go in, because my dad's a big military historian guy too, but he hasn't been to a movie for like 25 years. I'm going to have to ask somebody else to go see it with me, and I can't think of anybody who's going to be interested in going to that. Isn't that weird? I don't think my mom will want to go see Napoleon. Yeah. She didn't want to watch a history movie. All right.
So Larry for $2 says, Derek, you look like Harvey Weinstein.
Not quite yet. Give me about 10 more years. And I need to have had a massive problem with acne early in my life. Wait, you're not Woody Harrelson? Uh-oh. We've been accosted.
Nope, we're good.
Okay, cool. Was that EB saying, hey, bitch, where's my fucking my soda and whiskey?
Yeah, and I said, I knew I forgot something, my bad.
She wanted the D, Brett.
She had some wicked Woody Harrelson fetish, I guess, or Woody Harrelson fetish.
Was she wearing the strap on?
Maybe. No, it's fine. You mean Evie? Sorry, no.
Yeah, you didn't look down. Not Woody Harrelson. All right, Al. Oh, by the way, just so people know, if this is your first time here, we usually bullshit for about the first 15, 20 minutes of the show, and then we get on with the show. We just kind of we drink on the show. That's another thing people don't. If you're new, you don't know about this show. We partake during the show. The whole point of the show is to have a good time, have a few beers, like you're at the bar, and have some bar room discussions with your best buddy about soccer, right?
Got to lubricate,
and that leads to right. It leads to emotional moments and expressive moments, and that's okay.
And Derek's vocabulary grows exponentially with the more he drinks.
Yeah, that's true. It does. It gets a lot more viperous. The word today is viperous. It's like a viper, viperous.
Interesting.
Al Weinstein says for $1.99, thank you, brother, for coughing up a what is that? Happy Meal? Happy Meal?
Oh, come on, dude.
No, that's like $3.
That barely buys you a cheeseburger at McDonald's nowadays.
I think it does though. Still.
Yeah, I think the cheeseburger's like $1.75 or something like that. Something
79, I believe. All right.
My bad. Actually, it's $1.79.9. Duh.
My uncle.
Yeah, Derek. He says you look like his uncle. I think. Or maybe he's saying Woody Harrelson's his uncle, and I look like his uncle. I don't know.
Huh, maybe he thinks Napoleon looks like his uncle. I don't know. We're not quite clear. But Al could fill us in on that. All right. Let's start the soccer topics, starting with Taylor Twellman. Now.
So, start up here. Okay. So Austin says he was born in America. His grandfather was Croatian, and his last name isn't American. This is talking about Pulisic, by the way.
His last name isn't American. What the fuck does that mean?
It's Croatian, Derek.
Does this fucking moron know that, like, unless your name is like
Thank God he doesn't follow
man on man on painted horse or dances with wolves or whatever, your name is not. There's no such thing as that. It isn't American.
Yeah, what is you an American name? What is the stereotypical American name you can think of?
I don't know, but Austin Fitzgerald, I hate to break the fucking news to you, brother, but your name ain't American either. All right? You're no Native American. Fitzgerald ain't a Native American name. So I mean,
Brian, I thought Smith too, but that's English. So
yeah, it's all English. Or Fitzgerald would be either Northern English or Irish, but it ain't fucking American. All right, Johnson.
What about Meta World Peace?
That's at least thematically with a Native American spirit. Meta World Peace. Little Big Crow. Yes, these are all good. So now,
pat, guys.
Yeah. Taylor Twelman's absolutely 100% here by calling this guy a clown. My name is 100% German. So tell my family and my grandparents it's Zwellman and not Twelman. Yeah, I don't know what that part means, but it's fine. I don't understand idiots who come and say stuff like this. Were they born yesterday? Are they super stupid? Do they have an IQ of 61? Do they need special schooling to learn the history of this country? Like, it wasn't settled by a bunch of fucking white dudes named Smith and Johnson, dude. There were people here before we got here. All right. First name is Tight Shirt, right? I love it, Chris. But he laughed.
So 12-minute apparently knows and
he knows
likes
his nickname.
Yeah, yes. I'm glad he does. I'm glad he takes it on the chin too.
It only
that was me.
I know. It only took him 13 years to finally acknowledge.
Oh my God,
Tight Shirt Twelman. Hell,
all right, that's
yes.
great. Yep, canon is it's all canon now.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. That's going down.
Well done,
the
Brett.
U.S. soccer history books.
Yes, it
Straight
is.
red card strikes again.
Hey, we're finding out a lot of things lately about what people know, about what we say about them. And I mean, because we've already talked about the turd. This whole week shined a whole light of light for me about how much people knew about what we've said about them. And I know that because I got personal private messages. I got all kinds of stuff. And anyhow, we'll talk about that in a second. It's just crazy. You know, when you have 3,000 people, barely under 3,000 people following your show, you're like, okay, you know, that's a pretty small corner of a niche audience who likes to have a good time. But it turns out a lot more people like to have a good time than we thought. Like, we didn't know billionaires watched this show until fucking 29 brought it up. So that's expanding my mind a little. Like, you know, maybe we're just all of us together here aren't just a big, small family. Maybe there's a lot more people part of the family than any of us knew, which is now we're finding out is true. He asked, Christian Pulisic tells reporters in Italy that his last name is pronounced, i.e. Pulisic. We're close to Croatia, so I guess it's Pulisic. Yeah, it's Pulisic in his home country. So I guess he's been saying for years, Pulisic.
Yeah, my comment to this was, I guess when in Rome, right? Well, I guess it's not technically in Rome, but, you know, like they're going to say Pulisic there because they're right next door to say the Croatians and all that stuff. They're used to saying that shit. So
they're used to Ibra.
You call me whatever you want. Ibrahimovic, yes.
Ibrahimovic. They're used to all kinds of itches being in the Italian Serie A. So it'll be
like a personal problem, Derek.
So, you know, it's going to be difficult for them to all of a suddenly just ignore the fact that this IC is pronounced differently.
I almost wonder if he's looking at this going, just call me Pulisic. I don't want this being a thing, guys.
Yeah, just whatever's comfortable for you. And by the way, did you see that interview? So Pulisic did another interview with that Graham Hunter, that Irish dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on today. It's not worth watching because Graham Hunter talks 80% of the time, and all the Pulisic answers are 2 sentences long.
Yes, I think that's great. Yes, that's exactly how I feel. And
I think Pulisic says the word obviously like 50 times. Well, obviously, and then he's like, "Yeah, blah 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 blah. I can't wait to start playing."
I made the connection with the Hunger Games from the third movie itself, where PETA was kind of being used in propaganda against his will, and he's getting worse and worse each propaganda. He's getting thinner and looks like he's getting beat up during the process. You just imagine people behind the camera holding up a bunch of guns saying, "You better say it, bitch."
No, I don't think it was like that at all. But, the funny thing I'm trying to point out is this guy is pretty full of himself. Like, he paints this big, wonderful picture about Pulisic's grandma, and then it's like 5 minutes long, and then Pulisic's like, "Yeah, I really love my grandma. I miss her." And you're like, okay, so you spent 5 minutes and he spent 15 seconds. This isn't really an interview. It's you doing a soliloquy and him giving you a 1-sentence answer. It's not, you learned absolutely zero out of that interview except from what you hear from the interviewer. So I guess you got to give him credit for that because I didn't know Pulisic had an Italian grandmother. There you go. But it's actually not funny. Yes, Eric Winalda did say that.
Let's address the elephant in the room now. So we got 145 people in here. I think this is a good time.
All right. The funniest U.S. men's national team content I have ever watched. I couldn't stop laughing at this last night. And that's, of course, my rant.
Hey,
and anybody that knows our show and has been watching it for a while knows I've been building up to this rant for some time. This didn't happen overnight. I've been watching Fox's coverage now for a week, and I've been bitching about it for a week. Well, I finally fucking had it.
I think it's been years you've been watching Fox's coverage, regardless of where
I've been watching Lawless, and that's enough to irritate anybody. But I just want to be really clear to anybody who are watching us for the first time, and most of you aren't. But I'm not really that upset. If they would have played right after the cut was done.
Seconds after, where
we were laughing
yeah.
We were laughing. We were having a good time. I'm not that upset by it. People need to understand. A rant's just how I blow some hot air off. It's fantastic. It feels great. Just get it out there. Get it off my chest. But it's not because I'm like going to lose sleep over it or I'm stressed about it or it's,
If you guys want to know the funniest part about all of this is Derek was ready to call the show before this rant actually occurred.
I wasn't planning on that rant at all.
And he's like, "Oh my God, it's already 2 hours and 14 minutes into the show. Well, let's start wrapping it up, guys." I'm like, "We haven't got to the main topic yet." So I'm going through all of my clips and stuff like that. And this popped up and Derek all of a sudden sees red for just a second, enough to start the rant. And then it kept going. And then it started teetering down. I'm just like, "Hey, Derek, how many times did you hear about the 2 hat tricks?"
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you played a role in that for sure. That's the great part of the show is that Brett knows how to ring my bell. So, he knows how to. Eric needs to chill. Eric, okay, just so you know, Eric.
We brought this one up, guys, because we wanted to clarify this.
Right. Eric wrote me a nice personal message. He personally to me on Twitter, and I want to thank him for that, for being supportive. Listen, I don't know what else to say. It was great. I'm not going to share what he said. It's private, but
there are 2 ways to take this message he sent here.
Yes.
There's either that the rant isn't funny, that Derek and myself are not funny, or the content of the rant itself is what's not funny.
And it's B. So B being the reason that it's not funny is because the coverage is as bad as I say it is.
Yep.
So that was clarified to somebody else who relayed it to me before Eric wrote me a private message. So that was the context in which he shared this. It wasn't that it was sad to him that someone like me had to say this, but he was glad I said it. Let's just put it that way.
Because the tell to which side he was taking on this argument here is he quote tweeted it again saying,
right.
"And I quit Fox."
Right.
So a little more context to it.
Right.
Eric is basically saying, the Fox coverage does suck donkey balls.
Right.
And that's what's not funny about it.
It wasn't just Eric who found the Others did find it funny, but also poignant. We can't say who they are, unfortunately, because we don't want to get them in trouble. But they are.
It's made its way through ESPN and Fox.
Yes, it made it all. It made it all the way to Stu, who I want to apologize to Stu because he did get a stray there. Like I did stray. Yeah. That was a stray bullet at the end there.
It was just a one-liner at the end too. That's the sad part about it because you're just like,
I mean,
and I want to stick a fucking ice pick in my eyeball.
I kind of felt bad about that afterwards because Stu can be a rambling, annoying voice to hear when he's just seemingly babbling about nothing, which happens unfortunately quite a bit during this tournament because there wasn't much to talk about. So
he's in this topic here. He is the color guy. He's the color of the two.
Right.
He's
the analyst
in here where he talks.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of nothing burgers to talk about when there's a bunch of nothingness happening. So.
Right. Yeah, you could call him the color guy. I think he's mostly supposed to be the analyst. But I guess that's color too. I mean, if you're good at it, there's color involved. I'm not saying that listen, Stu's not my favorite as far as an analyst goes. And he made some good, he picked up some things, but mostly I found him annoying in this tournament. But yeah, I did throw straight at Stu and he didn't deserve that ice pick comment. So I do want to say, hey, sorry about that, Stu. But yeah, it got to Stu. I think we know that. I believe. I don't know. I know it got all the way through Fox. That made its travel all the way through Fox. And I can't tell you how I know this, but we know it. Okay? I can't really tell you because all this shit happened in private PMs and all this shit. So we can't tell you anything. I like turtles.
Andrew, I only brought this up because I respect the homage back to the I like turtles kid. I don't know if everybody's going to remember that or not. But that's a funny throwback.
That is a throwback. I like turtles. I think there's a guy who uses that every day on his podcast, and I'm trying to remember who it was. The funniest U.S. men's national team content, again, same thing. And then Diego says, my girlfriend finally saw the clip and has been hysterically laughing for 10 minutes nonstop. Yeah, a lot of people said that. I don't know about 10 minutes, but people were certainly laughing. And there was a lot of support on Twitter. A lot of support.
I know there were a number of people. There were a number of people on Twitter that were like, I agree with Derek, but I didn't need that image painted in my mind. I'm like, well, that's what you get with Derek. He's a wordsmith. He paints a picture. And whether you want to accept it or not, it's going inside your mind.
I think that people got to realize that this is sort of gonzo. This is like, all right, I take every metaphor on this show. I'd say 90% of them are porn related. That's just how we operate around here. And because it's fun and it's easy to do. And everybody's watched a lot of porn at this point in their lives. So it's easy to draw metaphoric correlations.
Haven't, what's wrong with you?
I mean, what if I came up here and talked like I used to, right? On our old show. I remember I was telling you, I went back and watched some of our old shows and I'm like, God, I sound smart.
We were really professional back then.
Professional. What the hell was wrong with me? But now we just come and have fun. I mean, when I say come, I mean, we arrive at the show to have fun.
When I say come, I mean, we arrive at the same time, right?
Right. We arrive digitally on this show to have fun. Not to come on this show. All right. Arnold Maldonado for $9.99. Thank you, brother. I mean, that's leveling on a trip for Brett to wherever you live soon.
Yes.
And might be past halfway. Let's say U.S. actually beat Panama. Wouldn't the U.S. team get their ass kicked by Mexico? Gents, what are your thoughts? Love the show, and lighting went up for you, Derek. Hey, I'll have to join. I had to quit for a while, Arnold, just because, I don't know, I think it was putting me to sleep too early. Like, I would get in the end of the show, and I just wanted to, like, nod off and go to sleep. So I stopped doing it during the show, although 29 was so fucking stoned on our show. I think we talked about it on the show live, right?
Yeah, there were a couple of people on the that were quote tweeting this clip here, going, the best part of that entire clip was Diego occasionally hitting it. in between Derek's rants.
Yes, he did.
He'd be sitting here, all of a sudden he'd seem like this.
Yeah. I used to do that all the time on this show. But the thing that I wanted to assure 29 and those that thought that was some sort of Ferreira rant, it had nothing to do with Ferreira. That rant was about Fox's coverage and how atrocious it was.
The power rankings that sparked it was like the last straw on the camel's back.
It was
just like it's been building and building and building and building, and this thing was it. It was just like, who's really putting Ferreira at second? I mean, nothing against Ferreira. He might be third, fourth, fifth, however you want to rank it, but he's definitely not second at this point. He's got to show more at a higher level. His goal against Panama was nice, even though it was off the shin. People are like, oh, it was off the shin. I'm like, I don't care. It was still a nice ball. He still scored.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Listen,
outside of that one goal against Mexico, that's arguably his highest scoring goal there.
Yeah, this is nothing against Ferreira, who was probably the best general player for us offensively in the whole tournament. There's no other way to put it. Who else shined offensively? Cade Cowell for a minute, others for seconds or minutes. But Ferreira was a constant.
Vasquez had a couple of moments there between Jamaica and Canada.
Vasquez had some moments, but not in the last game. My point being that's all fine and good. I have nothing against Jesus Ferreira. I have been told by everybody that's ever met him, including 29, that he's a fucking great guy. And a great kid, and we have said so on the show multiple times.
We just don't rate him that high, that's all.
We just simply don't rate him as the number 2 fucking striker on this particular list. And with Lawless doing him no service at all. Because then I got a text from my brother, and it said, hey, is Ferreira really the second best striker we have? What do you think I had to answer? No, he's not. My mom wrote me, how come this team is so bad and I don't know any of the players? Now, the commentators are supposed to provide that context. Lawless is supposed to provide that context. I shouldn't have to be talking to my other friends, Daniel Tao, and other friends who texted me during the tournament going, what's going on here? Who are these people? I thought this team was supposed to be really good, and I have to tell them why they're not good. And at the same time, by building a 30-minute pregame show about how great fucking Jesus Ferreira is, and then listing him as the number 2 striker on that does no favors to a player like Jesus Ferreira. Absolutely zero favors to him. Because what does that do? If you're a casual fan watching, which most people probably were watching this tournament, like my brother, like my mom, like Daniel, like all my friends who are watching it, who are all casual fans, they only watch it because they know I love it, right? So they're watching it and they are somewhat interested in USA soccer. They like soccer. But now they're expecting Ferreira to be this super fucking stud star, which he is not. And it's not fair to him because it builds up expectations. And then he gets knocked down. And in that last day after we lost from Panama, we got all these dour pricks except for Edu on that fucking panel acting like, oh, well, hey, that's what we all expected. No, that's not what you guys all said. That's not what you said the whole week. Now you're going to end it like that? Well, yeah, it's a C team anyhow.
Just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. And then Lawless has the fucking salty balls to go on his own show today and talk about how this is the end of the Gold Cup as we know it, because if we keep sending our crappy teams, he didn't say crappy, but that's what he was saying. How come you didn't say that on the show? How come you couldn't say that on the show? Might be a better question. How come you kept building up this team? Oh, you could call them the A team, the B team, the C team. No, you can't call them the A team. You can't, Lawless, because that would be a lie. And that's my whole point about the coverage. It was atrociously bad and false and a farce, and casual fans got fucked over. Sorry, that's what this whole thing was, a complete lie. And that's my sticking point. Yeah. I shouldn't have to be telling people I know something they should get from the program itself that they're watching. There you go. That sums it up.
I guess to finish up Arnold's question here, the big question is, if we beat Panama, would we just get curb stomped by Mexico? It's very possible.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
It's very possible. I mean, it is also possible that we grind it out again like we did the previous Gold Cup and manage to get a 1-0 victory. It's always possible.
It's not the same team. It's not the same team. This is not a bunch of grinders.
At the very beginning of the tournament, man, everybody was talking about how this team would beat last Gold Cup's team in a match.
Well, they aren't grinders. They aren't grinders because that last team was a 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 team.
Yeah.
This is
and
not.
You know what? Last team was managed by a coach who won a Nations League, who won a Gold Cup, who took the U.S. men's national team out of the group stage of the World Cup. Sorry. A little fun there.
There's some sarcasm if people didn't catch that. But yes, I mean,
it's very possible, very likely, and it would have been a lot of fun hearing the Mexican fans talking about it. But there's another group of fans that are having a lot of fun at our failure in the Gold Cup, and 29's enduring most of it. You know what fans those are?
Canadian
Leeds fans. Leeds fans are getting are messaging Diego quite a bit, actually, talking about how you guys talked about how you were so great, but then you lose to Panama, and your fat friend Weston couldn't even make the team.
Oh,
and
my
I had to respond
God.
to one. I had to respond to guy. I want to go. Couldn't make the team. Is critical thinking no longer a staple in England, or are you trolling?
Or are you a dumbass? Is what you should have said.
One of the English guys goes, "Can it be both?" I'm like, respect.
Yeah, I mean he's
as long as we admit it. As long as we admit it, guys.
Do you not notice Adams isn't on that? Well, yeah, I guess he knows Adams is injured. No Aronson, no Pulisic, no Weah. I mean, I'm not expecting a fucking idiot from Leeds who obviously doesn't know our team to know all our top 23 players. But I guess, if all he knows is Turner, to him, this must look like our fucking A team. But it wasn't our A team.
Can't even beat Panama.
Yeah. 1651. $2. Thank you. You're really ringing the bell here today. U.S. men's national team Twitter climax when Roldan missed the penalty. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Listen, again, I've been told nothing but Roldan is a really nice, good guy, a good kid, a vibes guy, if you will. I don't harbor any hatred for Roldan, and it's not his fault that these idiots running the program keep calling him up, and he keeps saying yes. I guess the party that he says yes is his fault. Well, what's he supposed to say? No. And so
take that easy payday, man. Get that minimum of $5,000 just for showing up. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. It's extra money, and plus he wants to play for his country. I get it. I understand that, but yeah, I mean, I didn't take any solace in the fact that he missed. I didn't take any enjoyment from it. I felt bad for him. I actually did, but I hope that's the end of it. I hope it's the end of it.
I felt bad that we were at a point where we were reliant on Roldan coming in late in the game who might actually take a PK. And I'm not saying maybe he nets 9 times out of 10 a PK. Maybe he's not bad, and this just happened to be that one time, just like how Vasquez missed his against Canada, how Jesus missed his against Panama. Maybe it's just that one moment, but I mean, we're at that point where that's our option. Off the bench, we need creativity, we need options to score goals, and this is who we're bringing in. A bunch of center backs and Roldan, and one-legged Morris. Okay. Fine. Yeah,
when people were starting to say, "Hey, it's time. We need to bring in some fresh legs," I was thinking, who
are we gonna bring in?
Who are we bringing in? This is even though everybody that was out there was playing pretty poorly for the most part, or just below average. If I'm being nice, like who are you going to bring in that's going to improve the situation? Zendejas has been awful all tournament long. Morris has a swollen left.
Zendejas was injured anyways. He was injured anyways. He was not going to come in regardless.
Well, of course they said he was injured. We don't really know that because Aaron Long was injured last game. Was he really? I mean, he didn't look injured to me. I mean, what, he stub his toe? Was that the injury? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there weren't a whole lot of options off the bench. And,
we had Yule available to us. We could have brought him in.
No, what we could have brought in prior to this tournament were a lot of guys that are in Europe like Mihailovic that we did bring. That was nice.
Mhm.
But we got other players that we could have brought as well, like Trusty and guys like that. Yeah, Green.
Could have brought Green in. I feel like he would still add something to our offense.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, there are a number of the U23 teams, our player or U20 team actually. Let's just talk about that. There's a couple players that I would probably have brought in that would have added a little more to the offense, anyways. And that's what we're missing. We are in this roster. The big thing we were missing was the creativity to open up the defense and create chances. We had created chances, especially against those tiny Caribbean nations. When we played Jamaica, when we played Canada, when we played Panama, some chances occurred. Yes.
Not as many, but
not as many as we'd want. We couldn't break the lines half the time. We basically just gave up possession when we tried it. So we needed some more of the offensive-minded players. I thought bringing Ferreira back into the midfield probably would have opened that up because that would have given him his ability to distribute how he can, split those seams. But even that didn't really help. And he didn't really necessarily play in the midfield. He always played out wide. So
yeah, I would have played him as a 10.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have.
We should have branched back to 4-4-2 against Panama at that point because they were absolutely. We're kind of branching off to the game right now, but they were destroying our midfield, and that's what killed us in that match. They killed our midfield. They had no chance to do anything.
They overwhelmed the midfield.
Yeah, that's
what they did. But and it was a party down our wings all day long.
Yeah.
And, I think BJ said, well, that's on me. I set us up wrong in the first half. We fixed it in the second half. Yeah, I guess you did. It looked a little better in the second half, but it was still pretty, like, Mihailovic is supposed to be your creative player on this team, and he wasn't good. He was very piss poor. And sorry to say that.
He was quite good against the Caribbean nations.
All of them were good against the Caribbean nations. So
Mihailovic, I can't make a defense for him at this point. That he was a ghost against Canada, and he did not show up against Panama, and it's a shame.
And we'll get into we'll get into the list of players and tell you later on whether or not they have any shot at the A team by 2026.
I'll come back to this chat in just a second, but there's a lot of names that are getting brought up here.
Peacock could have come. Haji Wright. John Brooks.
Why not just call the Tillmans in for the knockout?
I think one of the Tillmans. I think both the Tillmans were injured. Both of them were.
Well, I mean, we talked about it. Timothy came back and he's been playing for like the last 2 games, but it wasn't even 90 minutes worth of playing time.
No,
so understandable why they didn't call him in.
Yeah,
you could have made the same argument with Costa as well. Costa came back from injury, but he's only like 2 games in, less than 90 minutes.
Right.
Mark McKenzie's back apparently.
There is an argument that Mark McKenzie was never really injured, but that when he took the phone call, because he didn't make the A team for the Nations League, when he took the phone call, he could have gotten healthy prior to the Gold Cup, but he gave him the middle finger and said, fuck off. So there's that. Kevin Paredes would end up. That's a good one. How about former Fulham guy with Standard Liège. That kid. God damn it. Fulham kid. Plays at Standard Liège. He's a winger / back. Starts with the my brain's broken. Brandon Craig, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, what the
Marlon Fossey?
Fossey, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Starts with them. Yeah.
You started to say it like that. I'm like, okay, no, it's Marlon Fossey, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Starts with an M. I couldn't remember his name. Haji Wright. I mentioned that one. Yep.
Question: do you think Taylor Booth taking a rest and going back to Utrecht would have been more beneficial than playing, since he really didn't play significant minutes during the Nations League? Do you think it would have been better for him to stick it out with the Gold Cup? We
don't really know his agent, his situation with his agent and what they're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And he could have argued, listen, I'm on, other teams' radar to be signed. So, I just want to get a rest and then be able to go in and take that physical. But there are other players that have been listed here that aren't really on any, immediate chopping block or trading block. So I don't know. It's tough. I think this team could have done with 4 or 5 players who also play in Europe but didn't make the A team, who could have helped here. Trusty for me would have been one of them, for instance.
And that's one thing I was talking about when we talked about these two different rosters. Since it was the same, player pool of 60 that the preliminary roster they provided. If you know that somebody like Austin Trusty wasn't going to get any playing time in Nations League, would it have been better to leave him off there and bring him in just during Gold Cup instead? He still would have had time to rest. He would have played in Gold Cup. He would have got back for preseason. Life moves on.
Right.
Well, I guess preseason for whom at this point, because he's not.
We don't know.
He's not in a championship anymore.
Yeah, but he's not going to know anytime soon, anyhow. He will know soon now, but the tournament's over. So he would have been fine.
The funny thing is, a lot of these names, obviously, they weren't part of the preliminary roster.
Right.
I brought up Luna, Gutierrez, Noel Buck would have been great to have there. Just as young options off the bench that can create.
Abed.
Yeah, from Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Noel Buck, I would have really liked to have seen something. Hell, bring Hoppy. He's got nothing else to do.
And he was on the preliminary too, man. Why not?
Give him a run. Give him some playing time. Let him shine. And maybe, Middlesbrough goes, okay, this guy is good. We are going to play him. We are going to give him a chance next season. I don't know, but give him a chance to shine. I mean, leaving him at home. Like we saw Klinsmann do that often. He'd pick a player who's kind of benched, and he'd say, hey, Julian Green, I know you're on the bench for Bayern, but come play with us, And then, of course, he got the loan. I think it was to Stuttgart. And then Stuttgart said, yeah, playing with Julian Green is like playing with 10 players.
He has an attitude issue. I understand. Yeah.
Tyler Boyd, Gio Caccini's had a really good season so far in MLS. And who's the guy that he's Indiana Vasilev's had a really good season. Why not try a few guys? Now, I don't know about Conrad. But, hey, you know what? Maybe give him a shot to shine. Although I hear his attitude problems is kind of the issue there. Dwayne Holmes, another guy that was free. I mean, listen, this team could have had a lot more options. Julian,
this is what's going to happen. Hold on. I got to find it. Jonathan, I know you say that's a joke, but hold on. Let me find it.
Oh, somebody said it.
Let's not move away from this because this is funny.
But okay, while you're doing that, can I keep talking?
Yeah, keep talking. It's fine.
I just wanted to thank everybody who, when Tact asked on his show last night whether or not he should play my rant, all said yes. Because, I know Tact wanted to play it, but I think he was worried about the language. So he was kind of like, I'm not sure if I should play this or not. But because, man, it's got a lot of swearing. He did give a warning before he played it, but he just demonetized the shit out of that particular show. And you know what? Thank you, Tact, for doing that because, I think it opened up a lot of eyeballs to other people who've never seen our show.
I was going to say, Derek, we're at 2.88 thousand subs at this point. So we've gained, since that rant, we've gained nearly 200 subs.
Not on purpose, people. Trust me, I don't do the rants for the eyeballs.
We've done many a rant before. This one just went viral.
Yeah, well, it's the first time anybody's clipped one and just put it out there.
That's a great point, guys. If you ever listen to our show, you find
whoa, no, don't do that, Brett.
What?
Because we don't know what they're going to clip.
Derek, what we are saying is on YouTube. It's forever at this point.
I know, but it could be taken out of context.
Sure.
And if you don't clip it right, it could make us look like idiots. Like, I'm sure a lot of people think I am. Hold on.
Do that regardless. It doesn't matter if I say it or not.
A lot of people think that I am a raging lunatic because they had no context for that rant. Sure. And they've never watched the show before. So they're like, wow, that guy needs fucking mental help. Well, anybody that's watched the show might still think that, actually.
Seriously.
But they know that's not how I act. That isn't how I act like 99% of the show. No, that's like 5% of the show, 2% of the show, 1%.
There's the other side of the sword there because a number of those people who were saying like, oh, this guy needs help. It's in their mind now. And now they will actually come back. Some of them will actually come back and watch some of the content to see if we are just that fucking mentally unstable.
Maybe they'll come back.
I don't know. But
just to get in the chat and irritate us by saying stuff.
I'm fine with that too. Hey, if you guys hate us, hit that thumbs down on YouTube. That's perfectly fine. That's interactions. It helps us also in the algorithm.
So is Matt in the chat today?
I have no idea. I haven't seen Matt anywhere.
All right, Matt.
Supposed to
Oh,
be looking for
Matt's
Matt?
usually in our chat. He's usually in Tax chat, and then he's in Pete's chat, and he's just
Matt,
a regular old ass.
Wait a second.
Basically.
Is it Matt M? Are you talking about Matt
No,
M?
it's not
Okay.
Matt M. This is just Matt, just plain old Matt. He mocks Tact and Pete constantly, and he said I was on meth too, and one of our other shows.
I kind of like this Matt guy. I hope he's in a chat.
Hey, dude, I have never even tried meth. I just want to let you know.
It's got to be the hardest sell. I know we've talked about this before, but that's got to be like the hardest sell.
Meth? Hell yeah, it is. I mean, I did coke before. I guess
shit. Do it. You might look like them over there with no teeth and sunken in faces and everything, but why don't you try it? Maybe it'll be different for you.
Well, people need escape, especially in this day and age. And I understand why they go that extra mile to just use something that's obviously so horrible just to escape reality.
I feel like alcohol and even weed to an extent is more than enough, quite frankly.
No, not for some people, dude, because their lives are they're in a worse place. They're in a really bad place. And then, there's depression and all of that. I'm not going to get into it, but the field that I work in. And so, that's what I have to not see every day, but I certainly am part of the fight against overdose.
I still feel to an extent alcohol and weed is probably more than sufficient, but then what happens is most likely is they want to keep getting the next level hit, and then it catches on at that point.
I mean, there's several ways to become an addict. One is to have a incredible agonizing pain that you start taking pills for, and then you can't stop. And so once you're taking off the pills,
no excuse. I agree. Yeah.
Right. Once you're taking off the pills, there's only one other option, and that's going on the street to get them. And then, when you're taking pills for that, like on the case of my case, when I came out of surgery and I had to take those pills for a month, almost 2 months, I couldn't get off them. I didn't want to get off them because I loved the euphoria. I was done with the pain, but I took them anyhow because I have an addictive personality. So for me, those drugs are dangerous. Not that I never smoked opiates before, because when I was in college, I had done opium numerous times with my band and my bandmates. I never shot anything up because I don't like needles, but anyhow,
you did right
going down that. Yeah.
No,
you got me into that topic.
When I had my knee surgery, I had two different painkillers sent to me. One was like a heavy dose, knock your ass out type of painkiller, and then I had like an ibuprofen ×2 type of one. Yeah. I took the ibuprofen ×2. I don't think I touched a single pill of the high dose one. Because for one, I tend to be reluctant to take painkillers anyways. Like if I got a headache, I'm usually like, I'll just suffer through it and get it over with naturally. I don't want to be reliant on, I better pop a pill for this, I don't know. That's my mentality in that sense.
I think aspirin's perfectly safe, but
100%. I gotta take my aspirin. Gotta get going.
I think you're just I think you're a masochist. Otherwise, if you got a headache, just take a pill, Brett. Jesus Christ. But, for others, I mean, I was way beyond the pain period when I was on my medication because I have a massively high pain threshold. So I was in pain, but I just loved the high. So, people like me are the kind of people who get addicted, who can get into that shit. Now, when I was a musician, I was always really careful to not do anything more than one day. And then I never did it. I take like 3 weeks off and I never do it again because I have an addictive personality, and I knew that. All right. I'd rather Joey for $4.99. Thank you, my brother. I'd rather get hit in the face with a ball. Which ball? The left ball or the right ball? Because Brett shaves his right ball, but doesn't the left. So you got to pick which one you want him to slap you against.
One side's a little more cushioned, I guess.
Yeah, so it's up to you. Then watch the C team play again. Yeah, it wasn't. I have to be. It wasn't fun to watch. I mean, it was a chore.
Oh, what are you talking about? It was incredible fun when watching them play St. Kitts and Trinidad and Tobago.
No, I didn't have much fun with that. I watch it because I'm supportive of our team. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't having as much fun as I would like, honestly.
So my wife's not a big soccer person. She never has been. She hates the fact games can end in a tie. She doesn't understand it. It's typical American type of mentality when it comes to that
Italian. What's her problem? She's like
but she
full-fledged Italian.
But she
third generation.
Yeah. So she doesn't like it. And she's like, and it's low scoring. I can't stand it. So I'm like, you would have loved these games, man. They ended up 6-0. And she goes, I don't think I would have enjoyed that either. I don't like blowouts too. I want a good competitive game, but I want to see some goals scored too.
She's got a point.
I'm like, that makes sense because it's great. Curb stomping these tiny Canadian, these tiny Caribbean nations. But I mean, there's like, it's like once you get like 2-0, 3-0, at that point you're like reclining back, drinking an extra bev. You're not concerned with anything at that point, and it's just like, we got another goal. We got another goal.
I mean, if you're beating Brazil 4-0, fuck yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a bit different, I guess.
But
context is everything, right?
Beating St. Kitts up is not that fun. But I will say this: at least they didn't celebrate like the women did when they were killing. I think it was Thailand in like a couple World Cups ago.
Yeah,
where they were just like doing the tee shots and smoking joints or whatever the fuck they were like celebrating. Like I think they won the game like 8-0 or something, but they were celebrating every goal. It was tasteless, absolutely tasteless.
Joey, once again, thanks for that $4.99. I did want to highlight this again because as you can see, his super chat is in a green text box here, which means he gets more text than say a blue one here.
Oh, the blue ones get shorter.
Yeah, so the blue can be from this $2 text, or it can be like this $4.69. Or
he did 69 again.
No, I'm going to bring that up here because I appreciate it. Joey spent the $4.99 for this. He got a little more text he could have thrown in there. Then Spencer, who offered the $4.69 for an additional 30 cents more, he could have gotten more text. But I appreciate the fact that he's sticking with that 69. It's awesome, buddy.
Yeah, it's an important position to learn when you're young. I mean, I suppose not at my age, it doesn't matter. Anyhow, we won't get into the details of why it doesn't matter because I don't give a fuck mostly. That's why.
Dude, it's an odd story. I got to bring this up because you're talking about yourself now. So we were talking to our neighbor, and I had mentioned how there was how we included Evie into one of our skits and stuff like that during our animated, Derek's finding a sex doll skit.
Right. And
we're talking about the sex doll, and our neighbor's like, so did Derek ever get a sex doll? He's like, well, basically, I guess the consensus was the ones that he would have gotten are too expensive, and the ones that he wouldn't have touched are the right price. So she's like, I wonder if you can go on Amazon and get one. She went on her phone and immediately threw up sex dolls in Amazon. And there was like an hour-long conversation of all the different sex dolls and all the different things that fall in that category.
Was she doing Amazon. The cheap ones though?
They range, and there's
they range.
There was a whole variety, like realistic boobs and like triple D monster, like cheap porn like type of monster boobs. Yeah.
Dude,
realistic to whom? I mean,
when we first did that, we're thinking about doing that joke, and I was going to actually go buy a real sex doll for this thing, for the gag. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just typed in sex doll into Google, which was a incredible, enlightening experience because I'm like, holy shit! Like
not the virus you used to.
These things are like getting from like $100 for a blow up thing. All right. And then like $8,000 for a super realistic one. So I learned a whole lot about the sex doll industry just by typing in that very search to buy a blow up doll. So anyhow, interesting. Spencer Dirty, very Irish name. Thank you.
Wasn't an Irish accent by any means.
I tried. It was Scottish, probably more Scottish, I think.
It was the Scottish accent trying to be Irish at the same time, and it's something in between there.
I'm not Pete. Okay,
fair enough.
Cut me some slack. I'm not an actor. An actor. Spencer Dirty says for $4.69. This shows a chaotic energy and a Hoosier heaven. Oh, are you a Hoosier? All right, Spencer. Well, thank you for supporting a local show.
Stop mocking your heritage with a bad accent. So
I'm not mocking his heritage.
Dude, when you started doing the numbers like for 469, and all of a sudden you're just like, well, you really went deep in that Scottish there, man.
It's not like I called him a leprechaun, for Christ's sake. I'm just trying to do an accent, just to keep things fun. Like I'll be hearing this one says a Peter Rourke. Peter Rourke. We're doing more. It's one more pretty fun. I mean, you keep adding these up, Juan, and Brett's gonna have to make a trip halfway to your place. Meet you in a private park somewhere, and there goes the KY. Watching long turn like a cruise ship is mess. Now, we have said this many times about Long since his injury. Long is not the same player. I'm sorry, that was a serious fucking injury he had. And he was a sort of up-and-coming player still, like maybe could become something, was looking decent, was still one of the better defenders on his team. After that injury, he was worse than his co-partner on that team, and now he moved to a new team, and he's having a not very good season there out on the West Coast. So,
oddly enough, making more money. How'd that work out?
I don't know what they're smoking there. I'm at LAFC. I mean, that move made no sense to me whatsoever. But
in a similar comparison, I mean, we have Jordan Morris, who's had 2 massive knee injuries. He's come back, and then he got another knee injury against Jamaica. And instead of doing more surgery at that point for a temporary fix, they just put the rubber bands on the outside of his leg.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm like, man,
those are massive injuries. And Jordan Morris will never be the same player. He will never make the same quick cuts he used to make. Remember, he wasn't just fast in a straight line before. He was actually quick. Like, whoop, beep, bop, bop,
there's a reason why he had interest in Europe when he signed with them less, and even after he signed with them less. But then once his first knee injury happened, you could start seeing a little bit of degradation there, And then all of a sudden the second one happened.
The Cardiff one was the worst.
So
the one in the championship in England was the worst one. Mm-hmm. And listen, you lose faith in your ability to move left and right quickly. Like straight line, I think Jordan Morris feels okay with that, but he's definitely not as fast as he used to be. He moves more like a tank now. And left or right, he just looks uncomfortable. He really does.
He got up on that header that set up Jesus's volley. So,
and he's done that before for us. He's pretty decent in the air. Mm-hmm. Listen, Morris. The story about Morris is going to be what could he have been? He could have been. Like, I don't know, a contender for 2026 as a bench guy. I think those stories in those days are done for him. I think he's physically limited. The best things about his game. So
I feel like with the way technology is now, and I know they made this show back in like the 70s with the $6 million man and everything.
I was just going to say that.
Why couldn't they put like springs in his knee so he can jump super high like a fucking rabbit or something?
We can rebuild him. We have the technology. He is the $6 million man. You're not even old enough to remember that show, Brett.
Oh, you're talking to a TV and movie specialist here, man. Come on.
All right, props to you.
Or as Spencer brings up here for a different generation, Inspector Gadget shit.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the crazy thing is, I was watching the $6 Million Man when I was 5, and you had like 10 more years or more to go to even be born. I was pretending to be the $6 Million Man when I was 5 years old.
Jumping off the back of the couch, trying to do it in slow motion.
Right.
Son of a bitch.
And then of course there was the Bionic Woman came out when I was like 8. And that's when you watch the show with your hand in your pants, and you're like, I like girls. Yeah. Okay. That's
so we'll jump back to that transfer news in a little bit because we're well past the Jonathan Lewis moment.
Yeah, this is like kind of sad.
Ago, so let's go back to this. This is still about our elephant in the room. Joe Zialtador had a quote or commented or quote, I'm not sure, and he commented with the skull, like saying like, "Ooh, death," you killed it there, type thing.
Yeah, I killed it.
And then he deleted it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was told the reason he deleted it was because it's very possible he is still looking forward to having a job at Fox as a commentator later in his career. So putting a comment like that on my rant would make it look like he approved of my rant. So, and that the show was, in fact, the coverage was dog shit. And then, so he deleted it. Unfortunately, Josie, when you delete it,
the internet is forever, man.
Sorry. Baby. I mean, he deleted it within 5 minutes, I think. 10 minutes?
No, I don't know.
I think it was 10 minutes.
The guy who did the clip for us, here. GREVS TV.
He did the clip for us, you think? No, I don't think so. No, listen, when I came home from work and I flipped it up and I saw I had a gazillion fucking things flying in my face and I'm like, okay. And I clicked on it. I said, what did Brett put out? I'm like, Brett didn't put out dick. Some other dude put out.
I got on the Twitter and I saw that on there. I'm like, well, shit. Now it's pointless for me to even make the clip at this point.
And this
thing's got like hundreds of thousands of views on it, man.
Well, I think it was like 250,000 views at. I don't know what it's at
like,
now.
It's like 330,000 plus at this point.
So here's my first thought when I saw it, because I couldn't remember what I said in the rant or what clip he picked out, and Brett called me and said, "Dude,
Jesus Christ."
It's like, do you know what's going on? I'm like, yeah, fucking shit. I got an idea what's going on. I haven't watched the rant. I don't know what the fuck I said. I don't know what part he picked.
I watched at least 3 or 4 times before calling you too.
And I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work out. And I'm going to have a few beers and then I'll check it out. But right now I'm like, I don't know what part he clipped and I'm kind of nervous. And I think you might have said, well, it's that part where you said this shit and that. I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of remember that, but it was at the end of the show and I'd had quite a bit to drink at that point. I'm like, I'm kind of nervous about what I said because I don't remember. But I did watch it and I thought, yeah, I'm a little more pissed off than I thought I was. Or it comes off like that, but that's probably how all my rants come off. So I'm just going to have to live with that reality,
Yeah.
And I always have. Because I've watched all the rants I've done on our show and thought, people who watch our show know what that is. So they'll be fine with that rant. And I think others that have, here we are, Reddit. So we go to Reddit.
Real quick. Berlin points out that it's at 390,000 views at this point.
Yeah, that kind of scares me.
We're creeping up to 500,000, man.
Oh, man. And you know what? I'd say 80% of it on Twitter's been really supportive.
Yeah, we've seen the growth. Of course it is.
There were 20% who are like, who is this guy? He needs to get off drugs or whatever they say.
He needs to talk to a therapist. I'm like, what do you think this podcast is? This is therapy
This is therapy right here, brother.
I can say whatever I want. No judgment. Brett's not going to judge me.
Yeah. I mean, I just didn't want people to think that's how I always act. And that's when you put a clip out like that, that's not how I always act, But hey, that's where the world we live in now. People are going to just take out the 2 minutes. Right?
Why do you think the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, and all? Why do you think they take clips of broadcasts?
What are we doing?
Exactly. My point is, you take it because it's something that's going to stand out and draw in more eyes to it. It's not clickbaity because you're venting some frustration. You're not angry. You're not pissed.
Just
you're venting frustration, and you have a certain way of how you do it, and you word it the way it is. And I think there were a number of people that I pointed that out. I'm like, hey, this is the reason why it's like this. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, you shouldn't have said "come" so many times.
I mean, what prudes? Jesus Christ! You're worried about a little cum? Come on. I mean, Jesus. I bet you they don't feel that way when their girlfriend's around. But little cum,
anybody who's
metaphors
on the Reddit, anybody who's frequents the Reddits,
I couldn't believe when somebody sent me this and said, Derek, they started a whole Reddit page on your rant. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So
then got 104 comments, only 8 upvotes. That's not nice. I
haven't been there.
I have to log in. Yeah, fuck that shit.
I
I don't Reddit,
yesterday.
guys. Reddit's not
I
my
don't
shtick.
either.
I'm not a big
But-
fan of the whole community that surrounds all of Reddit.
They seem like a bunch of fucking prudes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you can blow this up. If there are some comments you want to show us that you thought were funny, but
I mean,
like Ferreira gets too much hate. No,
it wasn't about Ferreira. That's the point.
Wasn't about Ferreira. I think we already clarified that earlier in the show.
Hard to take him serious. So this one's hard to take him seriously after saying Ferreira may be lower than a fifth striker. He rants about Alexi's hyperbola.
Hyperbole,
but
he
hyperbole.
Hey,
but then tried to set one up, or tried to one up it. So you made a hyperbole argument.
I didn't even say that. I said he might not even be on this list. I said he might. I didn't say he isn't on this list. I said he might not be on this list. Not isn't. So that guy's just making up shit there. I don't know what he's talking about. Might is not concrete. But I did say he should at least be at the lower part of the list. And that's not hyperbole. If he thinks that's hyperbole, he must think having a pimple is a gigantic fucking tumor. I mean, what is his problem? Mountain, molehill? Does he know the difference? Because I do.
Says U.S. soccer subreddit is terrible. They are prudes. They defend every MLS player. And Greg nonstop. Reddit sucks. The mods are a bunch of whiny pussies.
Yeah, I've never been here. I've never been to Reddit soccer. So this was news to me when I was alerted to the fact that I was a topic of an argument or debate there. And this guy says, what the fuck is this? I'm going to keep coming after them and fucking them up their rectum. This person shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a microphone. Like, you've never heard anything like that? Oh, this is one of the prudes, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the prudes. I wonder why people think this segment of the fandom is toxic. Oh, fuck you, you pussy. You're right, guys. These are total fucking twat pussies. Like, you've never heard that before. And I'm going to keep coming after you and fucking you up the rectum. I'm going to be up your ass. I'm going to be up your ass. He's never heard the term. I'm going to be up your ass until you get it right. Like, that's all that was. That's anyhow.
Is it possible to agree and disagree with a person simultaneously about the same topic? Of course it is. It's fine. Everyone making fun of him, but this guy is 90% of the younger fan base on Reddit. Basically, Derek, he says you resonate with the young people on Reddit.
Oh my God, I'm this old, crotchety, fucking irritable old son of a bitch is okay. Well, I'll take that. Okay.
Here you go. Okay, outside the Ferreira stuff, where is he wrong? USA.
I didn't say anything. God, everybody misunderstood the Ferreira thing. It might have been how it was clipped. You know, I don't think they're understanding. I can't imagine
I can't imagine getting angry over anything getting this angry over anything in my life. This guy literally screaming over a C team striker.
No, that's not what I'm.
You're wrong.
He's an absolute idiot who doesn't understand the argument I'm making. And if you've never gotten angry, which I wasn't, by the way, that was me being an irritable son of a bitch. If you've never gotten that angry about anything in your life, you fucking haven't lived, dude. You seriously must live the life of a total fucking pussy to never get upset about anything. I mean, seriously. Nothing absurd has ever happened to you. You must live a very nice life. Because, listen, life is rough. And it does piss you off sometimes.
Mail here says, no clue who this guy is, but fuck him.
Hey, give him my phone number. Come on over, baby. All right.
Oh,
he wants to fuck me. That's so weird.
Oh, some boomer with the prerequisite beanie to get a full... How
are you, fellow kids?
I made that joke earlier on a different clip.
In order to tell the dude who actually played that he's dumb.
Okay, so this is the thing. That argument right there. The in order to tell the dude who actually played that he is dumb. That is an argument of authority. It is a fallacy. It is stupid.
Oh, is that what he's saying?
Just because Lawless played at a higher level does not mean that he's wrong.
You know what?
Right.
Yeah. You know how.
Focus on the fucking argument at hand.
Because you know what that kind of thinking leads to? Authoritarianism.
Yes.
When you say, well, you know that guy that's running the Reich? He is always right. That's where we're at here. He must know politics because he's at the top, right? So he must know all the right decisions because he's the top political leader in our country.
Trust the overlords; they know what's best.
You can't question our overlord, our top political figure, because he's obviously knows more than you do about politics because he's the best at it. Look at him. You can't question authority.
Are you?
What are you?
He's the president. Are you a president?
I mean, what kind of people are we raising now? What kind of people? Minds are we? Minds of fucking Swiss cheese. God, it's pathetic. You're right, guys. We shouldn't even have come here. And when I say come here, I mean, let's over this bullshit.
Let's end on a high note here. LOL, this guy perfectly sums up how I feel about Fox soccer coverage, although I would personally tone down the whacking off references.
Oh, come on. Oh, my God.
Peacock and Telemundo are getting my eyeballs for this Women's World Cup at the very least.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate the support, albeit I think you should have,
enjoy a good whacking off. There's nothing like getting off. There's nothing like getting a load off from time to time, guys.
I think so. That's why we had KY as our fucking sponsor for like 5 months.
Oh no!
I mean, where are these people? We're going to use a lot of spooge references when your sponsor is KY. Right?
Somebody's going to clip this segment and throw it up on Reddit now.
You're going to use a lot of spooge references when your sponsor is KY Jelly. All right. I don't know. They can clip whatever they want. There's nothing we can do to stop it.
Again, this is out there for everybody to see at this point. I don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah. Well, it probably won't happen again. All right. So
let's go to your favorite segment, Derek.
Oh, transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news, but me. Fuck that.
Here you go. Start with Peter. Or Pete. Sorry.
Peter Rourke says Leicester City are among a number of championship clubs eyeing a move for USA international Jonathan Lewis. Fuck that. Are they blind?
What are they? My question was, how good of a season is he having? Because
it's better.
I gave up on him after last Gold Cup.
I don't know what they're thinking, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Transfer news. Yeah.
Is Lewis having a good season?
I completely moved.
Because I haven't thought of him since his performance against Haiti in the last Gold Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I'm at.
Whatever Leicester want to do, they can do. Fuck them. They must be blind.
This is our chance to get an American.
Manuel, our good friend. I love meeting Manuel Veth. Sorry.
He's had a couple of choice comments after the Canadian loss.
Well, I mean, he's a very smart guy that runs an amazing website, obviously, in Transfer Market. And I got to be on a show with him and Pete. Mm-hmm. And we rapped for like half an hour after the show. And we were talking about having him on at one point, but and we might still.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fine with having him on.
Be cool to have him on like as we get like to the end of this transfer season, just to get his assessment of some of the transfers. But Gladbach are on the verge of signing Czech striker Tomas Kvankara from Sparta Prague. The entire package will be in the region of 12.5 meters. The package will be. You didn't catch that, did you, Brett? All right.
It's a pretty big package.
It's a big package. Well, that deal, once complete, should end the Bundesliga's pursuit of Brendan Vasquez. Yeah, Vasquez is getting fucked. I mean,
as some people mentioned here, if this is the total package that they're sending to Sparta for that striker, was this approximately how much they're willing to spend on Vasquez?
Could be.
You think?
I think
I feel like Cincy is missing the ball there. I mean, I feel like they probably should have taken it and played some academy striker as a follow-up option at that point.
It sounds like they went after Vasquez first.
Sure.
So their offer was in the same sort of general area, probably.
Would have to imagine, yeah.
Yeah. And so Cincy are just there. I don't know. There's that one prude that doesn't like me say this, but he is getting fist fucked. Now, the other deal they could make was, okay, well, you go ahead and finish out the season, but then you come and play with us after the MLS season is over.
Make the transfer an immediate loan for the remainder of the season.
And loan him back.
They should have taken that bid. They should have made that offer in that bid, quite frankly. But maybe Gladbach wanted a striker from the get-go because obviously they're losing their striker. Maybe they wanted somebody immediately.
I mean, if you're Gladbach, do you really think that Vasquez or Kvankara are like the immediate like fill-in? I don't think so.
I have no idea who Kvankara is, so I have no clue on that.
Well, I mean, obviously playing really well at Czech Republic, but I don't think either of those guys are like sure 100% answers to fill in for the folks they've lost. So they're hoping that these are kind of players that will develop a little bit and will have to kind of feel about and learn and become part of the team. So I don't understand. I think if Gladbach would have been offered, let us finish the season deal, I think they would have taken it. But if somebody knows different, let us know. Being Ace's dad, hey, we haven't seen you around for a while.
Yeah, he apologized for being late to the stream.
And the reason I mentioned, because I knew somebody named Ace, and anyhow, so you are a father of an Ace. Ace, a guy named Ace. And anyhow, I knew somebody named Ace, and I met his father, and he was a veterinarian many years ago. All right, $2. We appreciate that. At least we won't lose our undefeated run to Mexico. Yeah, I mean,
a silver lining we can look into, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we all would have known the context of the loss, though, right? If we had lost. Yeah. Oh my God, you said Vasquez right. You guys have hammered me on this for so fucking long. I have no choice but to say it right at this point.
Yeah.
It's like Hibernian. Remember that one?
Yeah. We got brought up last show, actually.
Yes, I think so. It's just me being lazy more than anything else. A top transfer market, because I know the right answer. A top transfer market window for Juventus. Noah Okafor for Salzburg from Salzburg. So Juventus are after the following players.
Thank you, yes.
And then it's Kequere. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Mexicans? What's that X? Yeah, what the hell is this?
That could be a misspelling for all we know.
Bunch of X's, maybe? That's weird.
Max and X. Kequere. That's how I'm going to do it the George Bush Jr. way. Hey, his name was Max and X Kequere.
Everything's phonetic. Everything's phonetic.
He plays for Oil Leon.
We should probably invade.
We should invade them immediately. Tanner Tessman, Venezia-itis. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it. Tanner had a great last half of the season at Venezia. I think he did raise some eyebrows, but it seems to me Juventus is too big of a move.
That's a massive jump. Yeah.
I think he's more likely to be picked up by, if they can afford it, one of the lower half teams in Serie A. But Juventus, if they get him, they're just going to loan him out if they get him. And I don't think they really want him. And again, this isn't anybody can vouch for. Alessandro Cato. So, yeah. The turn in the background.
Until it happens. It's one of those things until it happens.
Update. The Panamanian man kicked me out of my bed. Is that after he invaded your canal as well? But you know what I love about the turn in the background?
The canal's closed.
Stop lubing up my canal. The canal is closed. The turd in the background is the original, actual what I said. That's why I like the name you use. Because now people will just refer to him as the turd, but the turd in the background is the more accurate, expressive way.
It's 100% accurate,
of talking about Michael Cameron. Who knows? His name is the turd in the background, by the way. All right, what else we got?
All right, we're moving on to a different topic altogether. Enough for the transfer news, silly.
Transfer news. Everybody says, fuck that transfer news, it's over. All right, Kyle Bond, the bonfire. Replying to Broad Child of God. Tim Ream has been great. There's no question, but we need to keep his status in perspective. Consider he's 35. That matters. Fulham conceded the highest XG in the PL last season. How did that possible. Leeds were atrocious. He doesn't start at the 2022 World Cup or maybe even make the roster if Miles is healthy. That would have been the largest mistake that Berhalter could have done defensively in the World Cup.
So, yeah, the first two topics, yeah, he's 35. Yeah, he's old. We know he's old.
Yeah, he's old.
We always make the joke that he's like wine. He's actually getting better with age.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's going to personally win us the World Cup in 2026. Hands down. He's going to.
I want to believe it.
He's going to do it all.
I love Tim Ream. I love me some Tim Ream.
I feel like we've been like the isolated group that have been like pro Tim Ream ever since he left New York. We're like, even while he's at New York, we're like,
through all the Bolton years.
Pass the ball, man.
I know.
But yeah, no, we've been pro Tim Ream ever since then, and now finally it's like, paying off dividends.
He's getting relegated at 26, 27. We're like, hang in there with Tim Ream.
Yeah.
Hang in there. And yeah, finally he blossoms at 34, whatever, 33. Yeah.
The only reason I wanted to bring this up is his final point. He doesn't start at the 2022 World Cup or possibly even make the roster if Miles is healthy. That's not on Tim.
That'd be on Greg.
That's on Greg.
Yeah.
And that's the point. A lot of us get angry when we talk about Greg, and people are like, why are you so toxic? Greg's done this, this, and this. I'm like, there's an obvious glaring issue when we bring the likes of Aaron Long over a Tim Ream. If Robinson was healthy, we would have brought an Aaron Long over Tim Ream at that point. Somebody who was starting in the EPL.
Yep. That would have
boggles my mind because he's not fast. Okay. Well,
no. Yeah. It would have made Greg a wanker.
Yeah.
A Muppet. Well, he kind of is anyhow, but anyhow.
So I don't know. That's my whole thing is the revision. That's not even revisionist history. It's sort of just glossing over the fact is who's at fault of that. Again, it's not a Tim Ream issue. And if he's 38 and still kicking it in EPL, he's definitely a contender for that spot.
Wouldn't he technically be 37 in 2026? I believe he would be.
Fair enough. He may just turn 35. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Kyle Bond Jonathan Miller says Kyle Bond is correct. Age is a factor. 100%.
It is.
Age is absolutely a factor.
Father Time is undefeated.
Saying that, though, if he's still kicking it in EPL for Fulham, let's just say Fulham continue all the way through 2026, and he is a consistent center back option for Fulham.
It's unlikely, but
all the way through. I don't care if he's 38. If he's playing week in, week out against top competition, he's going to be competing for one of those spots. I give Tim Ream. That's my take. That's just my personal take.
I give Tim Ream a 40% chance. Now, if next year's horrible, I'm going to drop down that percentage. But right now, I believe in Tim Ream. I'm giving him on a 10-sided die a 1 through 4 chance.
So
I'm going to roll that die.
That's the thing. We can take this by year basis. As of right now, if we're talking about 4 spots for center backs, who are your top 4?
Do you really want to know my top 4?
Let's go with top 4 right now.
Well, Tim Ream would make the team.
Tim Ream, yes.
John Brooks.
Okay. If he continues to play the way he is, I would absolutely continue to throw him up there. Sure. I've got Chris Richards in the 4.
Yeah. Okay. And after that, it's really such a fucking toss-up between McKenzie, CCV. I mean, you could say Neil, but it's too early.
And on a year-by-year basis,
Miles Robinson.
Right now, as of this next year, yeah, I mean, it'd be Miles Robinson, McKenzie, CCV, somewhere in that trio.
Right.
EPB's out of the equation at this point.
I mean, you got to throw Zimmerman in there because...
True. He's got to be contender in that point.
Because he's beloved by Greg. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. But for me, that's what I would do. But that's not me. I don't get to be the coach. This ain't Disneyland. And so Brooks ain't coming nowhere near this team.
Do you have Trusty in that final 4 spot?
No, I don't. Really, because the way Greg, and it seems that Greg's staff seem to see Trusty in the same way as they see Cannon. They see him as playing out of position in a back 3.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what Trusty did most of the end of the season. And that's, of course, what Cannon did most of the season. So,
well, and I'm sitting there, even though I don't necessarily rate Cannon that high in the spectrum as a whole. I think that argument we talked about this last show, that argument was stupid.
It was stupid, yes. But
stupid.
All I'm
you
coming
have
up
to say
with
is say, hey, I happen to rate more higher than you at this point for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Yeah,
just what it is, and you're like, oh, fine, okay.
But I'm just looking at the trend of stupidity that Greg uses to pick players, and that was one of his themes, right? Al Weinstein, $9.99. Thank you, Al. You're much beloved here, or beloved.
Yeah,
I guess. Sidebar for later, perhaps. FIFA payments to MLS clubs per Soccer America for player participation might explain the roster selections. 69. I think that 69 is just randomly added at the end there. Yeah. All right. FIFA payments to MLS clubs.
I feel like, hey, for me, Al, shoot me a DM with this information. I would love to talk to Derek about it and bring it up in an more in-depth conversation.
Well, I can talk about it a little here. I'm not going to get. I don't know
enough about the topic right offhand.
So at the World Cup, clubs who send players to play in the World Cup,
sure, they get an insurance payment. Yes.
So that's what I think he's referring to here.
Okay, what's that going to do with MLS clubs though over all the other European clubs?
I don't know, but
is it U.S. Soccer saying we want some of our MLS clubs to get paid some potential extra monies?
Yes, that is what he's saying, that it might influence us to pick more. Although the majority of MLS players that played in the last World Cup were actually not from our country, didn't play for us. They played for other teams, other countries. There were more MLS players in the last World Cup, I think, than there have been ever in any World Cup. And they were on other teams, not ours. We had some of them on ours, but I know Minnesota got a big, hefty payment from FIFA for their player representation in the World Cup. Yeah. All right. So, okay, we just read that. What am I doing? All right. What do we got next?
Yeah, Al, like I said, Al, thanks for the 10. Send me some information in a DM. And like I said, I would love to bring this up maybe next show or whatever when we have more time to talk about it.
Yeah, and sorry that interview didn't work out with that other gentleman we were talking about.
Still got to work on that, yeah. I mean, I'd still love to have him on the show.
We're still wondering about what that guy can get away with saying, right? That's Fair what enough. the problem was. Like, yeah, he had an issue with how much he could say or something like that, or something to that effect. All right, what do we got next? The real topic?
We got update injury issue with Reyna, because a lot of people are asking with the Dortmund playing their first preseason match, and you see all these goals being scored by Dortmund, like, oh, where's Reyna? Why isn't Reyna on the bench? Or why isn't he on the field or anything like that? Well, for one, Diego had talked about how he was with his family, and he was just upon our conversation was about to head out to Dortmund soon.
Right.
So maybe he had an extended leave as far as family's concerned, because after the Nations League had a longer rest before joining the team. But he also did pick up that knock against Canada. And apparently, as this article indicates, nearly a month later, there still haven't been any updates on Reyna's injury. But the manager did not include the U.S. Men's National Team star in the list of players he was hoping to see in training next week, because he's just getting back to Dortmund at that point.
Yeah, we really don't know how serious the injury is, but there was some discussion behind the scenes about the fact that after this last year and everything the Reyna family has gone through, it would be good for him to have some good family time, take a break, and reconnect with his parents, and just sort of ease back into the next season. And I think that Terzic certainly regards him as a starter going forward or close to one. And we'll see. I mean, they've lost some players, some big time players. Dortmund. We'll see how he fits in, but I do imagine he'll be playing quite a bit.
Well, yeah, absolutely. He understands how the system is run.
Right.
He's been with them a number of years now, and he's a very talented kid. So even if he's not a week in, week out starter, let's say he's not. I'm not saying he won't be, but let's say he's not. He absolutely will start some matches, and not start some matches.
Yeah,
or
we'll
maybe
see.
he starts. Maybe he's a consistent starter now. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Is there really anything with Terzic's rotation as a consistent starter? There are some guys that are, but it seems like everybody gets a break on that team throughout.
Sure,
the
you
season.
have to with a number of competitions they play in. Sure.
Right. Oh, I wanted to let everybody know.
They got all the clubs. They got the league. They got the Champions League. Yeah, there's a bunch of shit they got to deal with.
I was drinking again tonight the Bourbon Barrel Quad from Boulevard. It is fantastic. It really is. Oh, there's some at the bottom here. And it is 12.2. But it is, somebody commented on our last show and that beer was fantastic. And they are right. It's one of the best beers, domestic Belgian style beers you can find at a decent price. So if you want to get into Belgians, you want to know what it's like, and you want to do it at a lower price, go out and find this by Boulevard. It's a good starting point. A couple bottle of these will get you spending real fast.
Well, I guess since we're talking about liquor and stuff like that, I drank all my bourbon.
I know.
Bourbon's gone. But I also drank all my vodka and Sprite too. Bye.
Your planning is bad. I mean,
I had 2 drinks, man. That's more than enough. I don't need any more. If I have any more, then it's going to be a drunk bread episode. I don't think we need that many of those.
I got vodka over here.
That's dangerous. I played that game. Remember?
I got beer. I mean, I got multiple cans of ginger ale. I'm ready to go.
When I got that shit within arm's reach, that's dangerous, man. I would have had that. I would have had my bourbon filled up at least 3 or 4 more times during the show because I've been that done with that for so long.
I know, dude. I remember the show where you got toasted, but that was a 4-hour show. All right.
We know that we did a different toast. Are you talking about the Simon Allen one?
Simon Allen.
That was definitely, we all got toasted on that one.
And the Meg one, we all got pretty well, not Meg, just us. By the time the Meg show was done,
there was legit just you and me episode where I did get drunk bread. So,
oh yeah. I think I had to talk to you after the next show, the pre-show.
It's one of the few shows I did not go back and rewatch.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know what happened. I don't want to go back and re-listen to myself.
We were like arguing about dumb shit too.
Yeah.
All right. Noah, no. Would that be Noah or no Palencia?
No.
You think no?
It's definitely not Noah.
Noah?
No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Let us know. No. It's probably no for calling you no. No Palencia, 199. Thank you, brother. New to channel, please. No more MLS lifers. Yeah. I don't know if it's really about MLS so much. Like, and we've been emphasizing this for a long time. It's just about whether or not you're good enough to be a backup player or be in the A team.
Well, I guess that's the thing too. Yeah, you're looking at backup players. It's possible you could be an MLS lifer and be a backup player, depending on the depth of a certain position.
I mean, Dempsey was not an MLS lifer, but Donovan, you could have called him that, and that was acceptable. But we're getting to an era where the majority of the best United States players don't play in MLS. This is pretty obvious. This tournament showed us that, right? We're getting to the point where there's going to be 1, 2 at most MLS players, or should be American US MLS players making the national team, and they would be bench players at best. Backup goalies, maybe a backup, backup center back. But I think we've moved. I think what you're saying, what I think I'm hearing you say, because other people would hear what you say and they'd say, "Oh, you're an MLS hater," and that's why I don't frame it that way, because I've been an MLS supporter my whole life. I have a favorite team, so does Brett. Mm-hmm. We're not MLS haters. We follow MLS and we have teams that we root for.
I guess my take on this whole thing is that when I look at MLS players, I'm looking at prospects and players
Right.
who can make a difference moving forward that are going to probably make the jump. We look at Brandon
The
Vasquez,
jump.
who's
Yes.
getting interest in Europe. We're looking at Jesus Ferreira, who's what, like 21, 22 or whatever. He's still super fucking young. He's
gonna make
garnering
the jump.
interest in Europe. He eventually probably will make the jump, but the fact that he signed a new DP contract kind of hurts his chances right now.
It does.
But then you look at other things. I mean, we had mentioned players that we would have brought into the Gold Cup if they were on the preliminary roster, like Brian Gutierrez, Diego Luna, Noel Buck, those type of players. I'm not saying that Diego Luna may go to Europe by any means.
I don't think he will.
He still has to get his starting spots sorted out at Real Salt Lake.
Yes, he does.
At least Buck and Gutierrez are playing week in, week out.
They are.
I mean, you mentioned backup goalkeepers, but at this point, was there really a benefit to playing Sean Johnson against St.
Absolutely
Kitts over
none.
Gaga Slonina?
None.
Why?
None.
Why?
The only reason would be that Gaga didn't want to be captain.
Well, he publicly has made it announced that he's playing for the U.S. He said, "Thank you, Poland, for your interest, but I'm playing for the United States." He 100% wants to be captied. Why didn't we captie him against St. Kitts?
We should have. It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing.
What are we doing?
I mean, why does Johnson need his balls coddled anymore? Do they need to be rubbed? Does he need to be thanked? Does he need to be ingratiated with our respect by just handing him a game versus St. Kitts? And then the fucking Fox crew calling it the biggest game he's ever played. Another part of their fucking amazing coverage on Fox. Goddamn unbelievable. This is the biggest game that Sean Johnson's ever played against St. Kitts.
A meaningless Caribbean nation? No.
You're making him look like he's never played an important game in his life.
Exactly, yes. He's played a number of games. Well, looking back through his history, he's played at least a handful of games that were significantly more important. Even friendlies against better opposition were more important than this game against St. Kitts. You could have played Christian Roldan at goalkeeper against St. Kitts, and it would have been fine. You know why? Because St. Kitts had like one opportunity.
Yeah.
The fucking end.
It would have captized
super silly.
Slonina, which is not important since he says he doesn't want to play for Poland. But, weirder shit has happened in the past where you don't tie a guy and years go by and he says, fuck you.
Look what happened to Jonathan Gonzalez. You screw him over in the youth. You screw him over one youth term, and all of a sudden he says, fuck you, America. I'm going to play for Mexico.
Well, he ended up fucking himself, didn't he? I thought it was Noah. Thank you, Noah. Noah. Yes, Noah Palencia. I said it. And, I also said no. So there you go. Noah.
Noah.
It's Spanish. So, you pronounce the Ethia.
No.
Midnight Man. Man, have you cracked an album out yet? Midnight Man? We've been talking about this for a year now. Where's your album? Your country, old school, 1950 style country album, a.k.a. Johnny Cash style country album, Midnight Man. I'm the Midnight Man. Yeah, that's got to happen, Midnight Man. $1.99. Thoughts on Des being given a chance by Xavi? I'm shocked if it happens because it just seemed like he was just blackballed from the team. Embarrassed by the team, sent down to the 2 team, told to go, suck grass blades.
Well, play in the basement, I believe is what happened. And he got shipped off to AC Milan where it wasn't any better, but now he's back. And now Barcelona is shipping Araujo out for a loan. And they
Araujo ain't going to amount to a hill of beans.
But they also said they can't go out and buy and purchase a new right back option.
They can't.
So, I mean, Des being given a chance? Yeah, I think it's going to fucking happen.
I mean, it'll be nice. We'll see. I mean, I think it's prickly by Xavi to treat Des the way he did, Is that a double Bukkake move there?
Yes, it is. It's like, what's the, I can't think of his name right now.
John Holmes?
There's a comedian. I'm spacing his name for the life of me. I love his shit too. But he goes, there's an intro to one of his specials where he's like, is he skiing or is he in a gay porno? Is he skiing or is he in a gay porno? He's in a gay porno.
Oh my God.
Bo Burnham. That's it. There you go.
Okay. That's pretty gross, but it is right in line and completely consistent with this show. Len, $10. Thank you, my brother. We do appreciate it. I don't think you've done that before, Len. So thank you.
With such a great content added to your subject here.
I mean,
hey, Chicago Fire beat Montreal 3-0.
I think that probably Brett paid you $10 to make this post.
Well,
honestly.
worth it too, man. Thanks, Len. Appreciate that. So I didn't get to watch the game because I was actually playing 7 Days to Die with my brother, and I'm like, my phone goes ding. I'm like, oh shit, Chicago scored. Fuck, 7 minutes into the game, Brian Gutierrez scored the first goal. It was a really nice goal. And then all of a sudden, bing! Oh, Chicago scored twice. Chicago's up 2-0. My brother has this shtick with Chicago because it's very consistent and very real. That Chicago will go up on a lead and then tie every fucking game, over and over and over and over again. Their MO is.
Oh no, they do that all the time.
100%. And I laughed. I go, "That's very accurate." And he goes, "I'm going to go place a bet for them to tie. What are the odds?" He goes, "That's like a plus 1,000. I bet $2. I get $22. I'm taking that bet." Yeah. And then Chicago
didn't happen.
3-0.
Well, I don't.
What's funny about this game?
Is Montreal any good this year?
I don't know where they're at in the standings. I didn't even look at the standings, but I think they're below the playoffs. So whatever. We'll take the win where we can. Chicago is now defined as the number 9 spot. We're no longer tied. We got a playoff spot. Let's end the season right now.
I mean, it's amazing.
The funny thing about this game is that Chicago shot the ball 5 times. But all 5 shots were on goal, and they happened to score 3 of them. Montreal shot the ball 17 times. Only 4 of them were on goal. So, and you know what? You know what? Chris Brady had a couple of really nice saves. I'm starting to see it now. He's getting all of his nervousness out of the way, and I'm starting to see what people were saying, like, because people were talking about how Chris Brady has the potential of being better than Gaga.
I heard that from Brad Friedel.
Brad Friedel said that, yeah. Early on in the season, obviously he was nervous. He had a bunch of things he had to kick out there, but he's getting into his own, and he's doing very well. Something to look forward to.
All right, this has been the official Chicago Fire Jizz Hour.
We don't have that many of those. I mean, it's few.
And it's over.
It's quickly. It's over. It's instant.
Everybody's
2 minutes done. Damn.
Brett has officially jizzed in his pants. All right.
Great show, guys. Let's call it here. It's not going to get any better.
So should we cover the game? You want to cover?
Hold up right here. Look at that.
All right, we're going to talk about this in these terms. We're going to review how they did over the campaign here at the Gold Cup, and then we're going to decide, is this player we're going to give you a percentage chance of what their chances of making the 2026 roster, right?
Well, Derek, the super chat's taking us into a kind of ahead of scheduled comment here. So
Noah Palencia at $4.99. Thank you. We really do appreciate it. I think I might have just jizzed in my pants. Yes, I would have preferred seeing MLS U23 guys on the tournament than this squad. Even U23 guys in Europe. These veterans sucked, man. Go Fire.
Woo!
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Kirk make this point. Yeah.
Yep, got it pulled up right here. And actually, we talked about this before the tournament too, but let's listen to the Herc comment. We'll talk about this briefly, and then we'll get back into the game. And
are we allowed to say that? No, we're probably not. All right, no, we're not allowed to say that. All right. Sorry.
I understand allowing Christian Pulisic, Fowler and Balogun, Ricardo Pepi,
Tyler
play. Adams, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, Anthony Robinson, Serginho Dest, your center backs. I understand that. I understand allowing them to go fix their club situations and rest for the upcoming European season. What I don't understand is why this group? Why not make this tournament mean something? Why not bring in a group that will actually compete in the Olympics? A U23 team, a team that you think could be a combination of the U20s we just saw in Argentina and a U23 team that you think will actually be
oh my God, this makes so much sense.
Why not do that? Why not allow them to
That's why we love
them to compete with each other instead of trying out this?
Why we love
glorified MLS squad.
Oh my God. He is so fucking
I love the zinger
right.
at the end there too, yeah. So what's great about this is obviously we made this point early on, and I'm sure a number of other people, I'm sure Pete and Tactile said the same thing.
I'm sure they did, yeah.
It all came around because quite frankly, why wouldn't you take advantage of this tournament? If you're going to call in a bunch of, 24 to 28-year-olds that may or may not ever see themselves ever called into an actual A-team roster, why not utilize this instead to be more or less a U23 tournament? You can still have other players. You can still have Turner in there. Fuck it. Bring Turner. If Turner wanted to play the Gold Cup, you give him the Gold Cup. But if there are a couple other players in there that wanted to, you still see Cal, you'll still see Reynolds, still see Neal, maybe, whatever. But if you go pretty much a predominant U23 tournament, you're prepping them against, again, other
Olympics,
adults
for the Olympics.
Before they go play a bunch of U23s.
Yes. And for that too. It's amazing how much this makes sense. But I guess, it would have made it easier for Fox to cover this. Hey, we've sent our U23 team to the Gold Cup this year to give our best players a rest. I doubt they would have even said those because those cocksuckers were into Disneyland illusions.
This might as well be our A team.
Yeah, exactly. If Wallace said it more, he said, "Oh, you can call this the A team, the B team, or the C." Fuck you, dude. Don't you even bring up the A team. Don't you even sniff that comment. Because it really doesn't matter, he would say. It doesn't really matter. They're here representing the U.S. It does matter, fuckers. It matters because there are people out there who are casual fans that need to know the truth. But that's okay. I love this idea from Herc. This is why we love Herc.
But again, to that point, though, you just take a look at our group. We had St. Kitts, we had TNT, we had Jamaica. If we had sent to the U23 team of predominantly MLS players, you could look at even the Euro players. You could bring in players like Gaga still. You could still bring in players like Paredes, Paxton, that type of shit.
Yeah.
Hookstus. You're looking at players that could come in and still perform.
We would have lost to Jamaica more than likely.
Possible, very possible.
But we would have beat St. Kitts and we would have beat.
Who knows? That's the thing, though. The U23 team might have been a wild card in that sense. It may have been a different sense of creativity involved, quite frankly, because I feel like there's more creativity with that U20 team than there was with this MLS squad. So
maybe, yeah.
Who knows?
That's what I could have brought in Maurice Malone. You could have brought in who's the other Union Berlin kid that's been
Sinogo.
Sinogo's been moved up to the A team.
Yeah, could have brought in Odunze as another backup goalkeeper.
And you get three older players too. You could have already started prepping who those three players would have been for the Olympics, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Herc's idea. I think it's a great idea. If you're gonna say, well, fuck it, or fuck the Gold Cup, which is what we did. We said fuck the Gold Cup. Then let's really use it as a learning experience and just be honest about what it is. Hey, we're going to go in there and use this as a learning experience. But then we went and bullshitted and said, this is a learning experience. That's why we brought Roldan and Morris and Long. It's not a learning experience. There are too many guys on the team who've already been on the team and we already know their shit. So why are we bringing them?
Right there. The U20 beat our Camp Cupcake team. Because I was going to bring up the point. Looking at this roster, and we watched U20s do the U20 and U23 qualifiers. Do you think a U20 team could outcompete this squad right here?
Well, this squad was pretty piss poor. It'd be fun to watch, but I don't know.
I don't know. That's why it's one of those things where I'm like,
I don't know.
If we utilize this as a learning experience for our U23s, would they have performed any differently? Now, it's possible we may have lost to Canada. Who knows? It's possible
I don't know.
We may not have lost to Canada.
Canada sent a shit team too.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
It's
their best A players weren't there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's go down this list, I guess, and get this done with. For the tournament, obviously Matt Turner was fine, and he will be on the 2026 team. Unless
best player of the tournament, hands down.
He gets hit by a bus. Aaron Long,
not one of those double deckers in England. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, that would be painful. Aaron Long, I hope this was the end for Aaron Long. I hope this was it.
End of the world as we know it.
I hope he's gone. He's got, in my book, 0% unless Greg Berhalter is seriously addicted
Camp
to
Cupcakes
meth.
will be the only reason you might see him back. Quite frankly, and even then, I would say no to that. There are other younger and other capable center backs that I would bring in instead of him. Again, Craig and Neil both would be included in any Camp Cupcakes moving forward. And at that point, you're already losing spots for center backs for long, so.
Yeah, and I know there's a petition out there to rename Aaron Long Aaron Flaccid, but I mean, I don't think
petition for that. How
yeah, I don't think you can legally change someone's name without their opinion, without them signing the document. So yes, it would be cool if his name was
Teicher Twellman. He approves of that message.
Well, this is a legal push people are making.
Legal binding,
to rename him.
I don't approve of going being flaccid. What the fuck, guys?
It's a, what do they call that when you get all the people to sign it? It's a petition. It's a petition.
Yeah.
There's a petition out there to rename him Aaron Flaccid and get it somehow through the legal system where he has to deny signing it.
Monster Troll, I approve of that message just because it's funny as fuck.
Aaron Flaccid. All right, Matt M for $5. I love Herc too, but he doesn't criticize the USSF and Greg enough, especially when he is on ESPN. He called Greg names on the show before
and after having him on there.
He said, "How stupid can you be?" is what he said. I have quotes of him multiple times calling Greg daft in various ways.
There are takes that I agree with and disagree with her, just like anybody else.
Yeah, I don't agree with
100%.
I don't agree with everything he says either. Yeah.
So I mean, there are things he says that I'm like, oh, you didn't go far enough with that, or I don't. I mean, there are times where he was praising Jesus, not Jose, but Jesus.
Yeah.
On his double hat trick, and we're just like, you're sitting there going like, yeah, that's great, good work, okay.
But then Seb plays the other side, and he's like, come on. Come on. At least both sides on that show are usually projected, with Seb being the ultimate cynic and then Herc being trying to be nice, right? But then also being honest as much as he can, and which is usually what he does.
But ultimately, Matt, more often than not, I would probably lean in Hercules' favor as far as stuff he says.
He called the USSF thing pretty much a clown show. The hiring process.
He called Berhalter a Muppet.
He called Berhalter a Muppet. Yeah, I mean, he called him a Muppet. A Muppet. I mean, that's serious in England. I don't know if
we made massive meal out of that one when that happened.
Adam, you must be a blessed man if you can be long and flaccid.
Adam is basically saying that he is a shower and not a grower.
How about after you come out of the pool, the cold pool?
I was in the pool. It was cold.
Adam, how is it after that? You're flaccid and you've had the cold pool. All right. Man, dude gets straight up and starts bragging on our show about how large his member is. All right. I do not understand how you send a team to the Gold Cup and try to pass it off as a legitimate national team. That's what Fox did. Mm-hmm. When the Nations League team hammers, this one by 3+ goals. It's wrong and shouldn't happen. Yeah, that's what my rant was all about.
Do you remember at the beginning of the tournament when they played Jamaica and they're like, oh, I can't believe, BJ just a few weeks ago was able to handily hand Mexico a massive loss. And then all of a sudden we're struggling. And you never would have believed that the biggest struggle in his career would have been against Jamaica. But here we are. Like, dude, fuck off with that shit. Seriously?
What a dick. That was John Strong providing zero context in a game and making the stupidest comment you couldn't possibly imagine a more dumb statement to make. And, it's one thing to say that and then follow it up with, well, we all know why. The reason is this team is not as good as the team that played against Mexico, but he didn't follow it up with that. He let it float because he's a fucking moron and he's an unconscionable fuck who has obviously no ability to understand that there are casual fans watching who need to have the real info, but he's not interested in giving them real info. He's just interested in playing this game.
It would have been realistic if he came out and said, the 11 starting against Jamaica now, maybe half of them would start on a third starting 11 team. So you take your starting 11 team, and then you pull them out of the pool altogether. And then you create another 11, starting 11. And you pull that 11 out. Half of the team that played against Jamaica would probably make that third 11. The other half would probably be bench players at best.
That's a C team.
Yeah. 100% of what we're saying, basically, yes.
I mean, I was telling my mom, she asked me, well, how many players from the Nations League team made this team? And I said, well, out of the 23 players that you're watching tonight, only one of them is from the 23 players. Two of the players, right? No, this is last night's game.
Oh, okay.
So it was Miles and it was Turner. That's it.
Was Miles at Nations League?
Thought so.
Oh, it's possible. I don't remember.
I don't either at this point.
Regardless.
But the point to my mom was, this is not the same team.
Not at all.
So,
but Turner, long done.
Reynolds,
Brian Reynolds,
really good against the Caribbean teams.
I thought he had a pretty damn decent tournament. Not
that last game.
Fair enough.
Petered
I'm
out
not going to argue with that on that point. And like I mentioned, I mentioned this on Twitter because people were like,
"No, horrible." I'm not saying
all those people that wanted Brandon Vasquez to start. Well, there you go. This is what happens. I'm like, well, yeah, he didn't have the greatest game, but I mean, as far as
he got no service.
Who had a great game?
No one.
No one had a great game. So, the tournament as a whole, I thought Brian Reynolds showed that he's still in contention. He's still in the talk. I think his stock went up because, quite frankly, before this tournament, I think when people brought up Brian Reynolds, we were predominantly sitting there like, really?
Yep. I'd agree.
Really?
I'd give him.
Okay. Maybe we'll talk about this. Maybe after Dest and after Scally, maybe we're talking about Reynolds at that point.
I think I'd give him a 40% chance to make the 2026 team. And that's a lot higher to Long. I give 0.
Yeah.
Turner, I give 100.
Barring injury and bust hit, of course.
Yeah. Busio, I still give a 10% chance because he would need to make a massive turnaround. And his play during this tournament was both up and down. Down. It was horrible and
within
horrific.
The same game, too. That's the thing.
Yes.
Because you'd be sitting like against Canada, I was sitting there like, oh my God, Busio, you need your ass subbed off at halftime. And then the second half, later in the second half, but the second half, all of a sudden he kicked it into gear, and you're just like, maybe I jumped to the conclusions a little bit here, but he was bad in that first half,
Yeah, and he was pretty ineffective in this last game. He did have moments, but my point is when you compare him at his time with Venezia and how he's played in the 6 or 7 games I've watched on ESPN. The very rare ones, not ESPN. What channel is that on?
No, ESPN Plus. No, Paramount.
It's Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
What I notice the difference being is like Tessman is solid. He's solid. He's there the whole game.
There's reasons why he has Serie A interest. I'm not saying Juventus, but
right. He doesn't make huge mistakes. He's defensively sound.
Yeah.
He's always there when you need him. He can score a goal too. He's much more likely to score outside the box than Busio would.
That was all apparent when they were in Serie A, and him and Busio were sharing minutes, like back and forth, flipping back and forth. It was clear and obvious that Tessman was getting the better of the minutes, like not more minutes, but just like his minutes were better, in my opinion.
Well, that's why he became the backbone of the center midfield for that team, and Busio rode Pine because Busio's unreliable and he is inconsistent. And we saw that here too. We saw moments where like, oh, that's pretty nice. And then, 5 minutes later, you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And Tessman just doesn't do that in Serie B. He was solid. He doesn't make stupid errors. He's always there defensively. He runs his ass off. He can score outside the box on occasion if you need him to. Even take a fucking a free kick outside the box at times. I mean, he's got more skills than Busio. He's more physically assertive. he's a bigger mammal, and Busio's a small mammal who is inconsistent, and I don't think he won any extra points here, but I'm surprised. I still am surprised in some way that he doesn't fit somewhere in Venezia's plans going forward. I thought, like, can't you figure out a way to use this kid?
I
don't know. I guess
he's what
not.
90. He's 90 pounds wet. He needs to pack on some more muscle, and at that point he'll be fine. I think it's all a physical aspect. It's very almost Brendan Aronson-esque type of mentality here, where his positioning and everything like that. Maybe it's a lack of confidence at times, but he does get muscled because he is a tiny framed guy.
He's very small. And, if you're that small, you need some super skills to overcome your lack of physicality. And when you don't have consistent super skills, because we see moments of like something special from him, and then you're kind of like, then that's like a 1% moment, and then you go back to the 99%. And you're like, yeah, that's not good. So I think I already wrote him off in a write him off show, and I haven't changed my mind. So,
well, we'll get to a point in just a little bit. Some people have changed their mind, but let's move on. Let's.
I know they have. I know they have
for 5 hours.
No, I know they have, and I'm surprised by that because, again,
the problem is that looking at those couple moments, those moments of like actual good, like breaking it down to the end line and cutting it back and getting the assist. Or
there
whatever
were good moments.
There were definitely good moments, but as a whole, for the bulk of the tournament, it was sort of like I'm passing it backwards or getting dispossessed or making errant passes.
Or not being there where he needs to be defensively sometimes too.
Yeah.
And we saw some of that in this tournament as well from Busio. But, when you have the lineup the roster we brought, I had no problem with Busio playing in this tournament because
who are you going to replace him with?
I mean, I'd rather see him than Roldan in that midfield.
Yep.
So I was happy Busio. Maybe this will give Busio some confidence to go back to Italy and maybe get some more playing time. But we'll see about that. I don't have much faith in that because Venezia doesn't seem to have much faith in him. And that's sad because they're playing in Serie B. But they have a lot of faith in Tessman. So it's not an anti-American thing at all.
Nope.
They love Tessman. So, all right. And there's another guy, he would have been here, except, he got married. And hey, that's fine. Sands, solid. But,
nothing special, but
nothing special. Right.
I mean, your destroyer / holding. You don't necessarily want him to be the talk of the punditry,
Right.
Quite frankly,
And
if his name's getting brought up, then there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the rest of our team is fucking up, and he's having to clean that up after them. Or
that's actually how they brought him up during the game. Well, we haven't mentioned him much, but he's been solid. He has been solid. He was solid.
So, question: would you consider him at this point above Acosta and as Adams' backup? Well, quote unquote Adams' backup.
No, because Musa is Adams' backup.
I was about to say we are all of a sudden playing a different formation. We don't know what Berhalter's going to do.
God, I know. We'll figure it out.
He goes back to the 4-3-3 and the single pivot at that point. Then maybe we're talking about Sands as a potential backup to Adams.
Yeah, if you do that, if we go to a 4-2-3-1, and then you're playing Adams and Musa as your double pivot, with McKennie at the top of the pivot or Reyna more than likely. So that's going to be the battle there, because I think that Greg will want to play a 4-3-3 so he can get McKennie, but then you lose Reyna as your center attacking midfielder if you play a 4-3-3, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you got to play him out in the wing. But if you play a 4-2-3-1,
then he's competing with Weah and Pulisic as the starters at that point. And then all of a sudden Reyna's on the bench.
If you play a 4-2-3-1 with our best team, that's going to be really interesting to see, because we talked about it earlier, but could it come a time where Musa provides the pivot that you need alongside, let's say, McKennie, and you can play Reyna as the 9 or as the 10, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then where does Adams play? So that's going to be interesting to see how that evolves.
It'd be a tactical decision, quite frankly. And there are definitely people out there that are quick to point out Adams' faults as a player.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not necessarily even giving him his props as a player too, though.
He's a
Certain aspects of
destroyer.
the
He's
game.
one of the best destroyers in the world.
So,
yeah.
Seth Boyd said, "Oh my God, a shot of tequila went on my nose." LOL.
Sorry if we played any role in that happening.
That's got to burn. But I bet you your sinuses are cleared. You don't have to worry about any of that shit. Snoring will be down. It'll be nice. Especially ladies' friend will be happy.
Jesus Ferreira. I mean, we've talked about it enough tonight. It's not his fault that Fox shines such a bright light on him and called him essentially the second best striker on our team at full strength. That's not his fault. He didn't ask for it, and I bet you he didn't want it. He didn't want that limelight. I would guarantee you that from what I hear. And that, that's not something he wanted to be a featured player on this team and be called the greatest thing since fucking separated cashew nuts in a can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it made it worse when, outside of the Caribbean team.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's too much. It's too much to heap that all on him just to build Fox's fucking genitals up and make them larger so they could fake it and farce it through this whole show. So when they could have been real about him saying, listen, this is a guy battling for a striker spot, competing. Absolutely. Instead of saying he's second. No, he's battling to get into this conversation of 5 strikers. He's fighting for his life. That would have been more fun for the average fan to think, okay, this guy's battling for a job. That's the kind of angle that would have interested a casual working class fan. No, just calling him, oh yeah, he's like the second best striker we have, was such bullshit that it worked against him. It works against Ferreira in the eyes of Twitter, in the eyes of the Twitter, and it's not Ferreira's fault. It's not
after shit like that. How many tweets do you think possibly popped up saying Jesus sucks, Ferreira sucks? He's definitely not in the top 5. He sucks. I mean, it's he could be competing for that spot. That's perfectly fine to say. And here's what Fox should have been saying all along. Hey, Jesus Ferreira is the first U.S. player to ever get back-to-back hat tricks. That's fucking awesome. That's great. And he's tied with Donan for the number of hat tricks he's gotten right now. That's great. But it's also against some tiny island nations, and we got to keep that in perspective. Let's give him his props. Good fucking job. Nobody else has done what you've done. Let's move on.
They didn't even have to say tiny. They didn't even have to say tiny Caribbean nations. They could have said against sort of the lower parts of the CONCACAF competition. Let's see what he can do against better competition like Canada, Jamaica, and Panama. And he did score against Panama, so credit to him for that. So
to the game, though, much like the rest of the team, didn't really, create much. There wasn't much there. I mean, as a whole, but our team was devoid of any form of creativity in this match.
Yes, he
did score a goal, which I gave props to.
Yeah,
he missed his PK, which shit happens. I understand. I'm not going to fault him. I mean, obviously anybody should put those away unless the goalkeeper makes amazing saves.
He missed his PK against Canada. I don't think he missed it.
No. Vasquez missed his. No. Ferreira put it away against Canada because he's the one who won it against Canada.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ferreira was the first one to take the PK. He missed the first one.
He did miss the first one. You're right. Yep.
Again, and shit happens. He should put those away. And again, 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you he puts it away. Whatever. I think the whole tournament as a whole, I don't think for me, his stock hasn't gone anywhere. It's basically
it's right where it was.
Where it's always been.
Yep.
Yeah, the goal against Panama was phenomenal, and it's great he's doing against higher up CONCACAF teams at this point. He got one against Mexico. He's got one against Panama. Let's keep the ball moving on that front. But the thing is once we start looking at the A squad and we're start calling people in against these amazing competitions we got coming up here soon, some upcoming friendlies. But I mean, how many strikers, especially in Europe, are we looking at that we want to get eyes on. We want obviously Balogun, obviously Pepe. You got Sargent in contention here. We always talk about Haji. There's always PFOC. Maybe PFOC gets another early start on the season. You never know. Maybe.
I mean, we'll see. But, you know, all this is not Ferreira's fault. So that's how I'm going to end it. And I think he's probably, from what I've been told from people we know, he's a great kid. Yeah. And he was one of the best players on this C team. But let's be really clear. This was a C team. K Cal, you know, some promising moments.
Who would have that goal in the 30th second or whatever? The game would have been completely different. Would have been
some promising moments, but then disappears. Just absolutely disappears at times too. So,
well, again, how many times did he disappear when he was on the right? His move is you have to have him on the left. You have to, because his move is to cut into his right, into the middle of the pitch, and rip a shot.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Everybody on Panama knew that. The beginning of the first half, outside of that bar hit, everybody knew what his move was. So everybody was ready for it. And he lost the ball how many times?
Yeah.
Making that right cut?
Way too many times.
Yeah.
But that's my point when it comes to Cade at this point. Because a lot of people are looking at like, well, he's young. He's got explosive energy. He's going to be – he just has to do this. But that's his move. That's his shtick. And it's easy to predict at this point. He's a
one-trick pony.
Give him his left foot. He won't do anything with it. So it's easy to defend. And you start playing up against better competition than the tiny island nations.
Like Panama, who'd obviously looked him over and knew.
Jamaica even shut him down. You know, Mexico would have shut him down. It's very predictable. You know,
he's going to have to learn more moves than that cut to your right.
Work on your left.
It's just not going to work. All right. Miles Robinson didn't do himself many favors, I don't think, in this tournament. Better than
his Canada performance, at least.
Yeah, but pretty average for him to less than average. So, Mihailovic, wow, what an opportunity blown.
That sucks. I had high hopes on him.
Moments, but again, moments aren't good enough.
It was like Busio, but even to a lesser extent, quite frankly. I know we had that one game against St. Kitts where he got 2 goals, 2 assists, but that was about it. So,
yeah, I don't know how much can put into a St. Kitts game. Jones,
but they got in Holland, man.
You know, we've already talked about how he's looked in Holland, and he's looked like a guy who's not ready to really take command or be a leader of the team like he was in Montreal. And when Montreal, he's like, I'm the man here. Yeah. But he got to Holland, and he's like, he kind of shriveled up like a shriveled up penis. A guy just coming out of the pool, cold water pool. And he needs to get back to being confident. Cold. And this is not going to help his confidence, I don't think.
I don't think so.
DeJuan Jones, I mean, again, we're talking about moments against poorer teams. He looked great. Against Canada, he looked good at times. I'm glad he played instead of Yedlin most of the time. But, yeah.
On the left, absolutely more than Yedlin, because Yedlin would be worthless on the left.
Yep. I mean,
him over Tolkien at this point. Tolkien hadn't, I didn't see enough from Tolkien. And, of course, Jones played most of his games against the tiny island nations. And that definitely helped him moving forward against Canada and then also against Panama in this sense, because you might as well bring him in because he's still doing well. I think his stock has improved, but that's primarily because I didn't really have any stock of him at all, outside of what Colin was saying.
I mean, if it improved, it was inches.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the big question there is that we don't really have a good left back backup option outside of throwing over.
Yeah, that's a bonus for him.
Over a desk, so that helps him. Mind you, we also do have Vines, who has been playing well in Europe. And, of course, he hasn't had the opportunity to really jump back into the United States because he got injured and all. But
he's been injured forever, Brett.
Sure. I don't disagree with that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, and then he was supposedly healthy at the end of the season. They still didn't play him.
I guess the big question there really is, did Jones show that he deserves a spot over Scally at this point as a left back?
No.
Because You could bring in extra right back options that are better. You could bring in a Reynolds. You can bring in a Cannon or a Moore if you think that. Or yes,
No, don't say more. Don't say more.
But I'm just saying that you could look at a couple of right back options to fill up the roster spots more so than a left back options because you do have a right back that can play left back too. So
supposedly, Guest isn't as good on the left. Scally's not as good on the left as he is on the right.
Scally's played at a high level at the left, so I mean it's doable. I'm not saying it's the best option. I'm saying
it's not.
Doable.
I mean, it's just doable, and that's
ideally you'd want to have a left-footed left back option.
Yes,
but are the left-footed left back options better than our right-footed left back option?
Right now, DeJuan Jones didn't prove that to me.
Yeah.
Vasquez had some great goals.
Very important goals, yes.
I thought he's the best 9 we got on this team. I thought Jesus was the best player, but I thought Vasquez is the best 9 and on the team with the best future as a 9. I think Ferreira has a future in, I don't know, Belgium, somewhere like that as a 10. But, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't like, he didn't blow me away, but he got no service. So I can't really say Vasquez was horrible in the last game because he got nothing.
I was honestly surprised that the first subs that came in really were for Cal and Vasquez.
I thought taking Vasquez out that early was dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you took those 2 players out, and I'm like, well, who are you replacing them with? Because I mean, those are like 2 of your better offensive options that you used to be able to bring in for subs.
Yep.
And now you're bringing them out, and like at the beginning of the second half, and you're sitting there like, well, what the fuck's going to happen now?
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know. That seemed like certainly a strange move. I did want to bring up real quick though, because we talked about stock ups and stock downs, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring up Marcus here, this scout for Prep Soccer.
Okay.
And he gives his stock ups and stock downs. So his stock up, he's got Sands.
Jones, Neal, yes. Lucio, middle for me, about what I would thought. Cowell, he's young, so I can see you thinking, okay, there were some impressive moments enough to give him an up. But that's being generous as hell, frankly.
So of these 5, I could say that you could possibly say Sands as a stock up. Not necessarily, even though, because quite frankly, I don't think Sands did anything different than what I expected. I mean, that's the type of player
I thought he was more solid than I thought he was going to be, actually.
I assume that's the type of player he was going to be, So for me, that would have been like maybe a kind of a stock up, but not really.
I thought he looked like a solid pro out there.
Sure.
And I guess maybe I should assume that's what he was going to look like, but I wasn't sure. So
yeah, you're under the impression, he flunked out of Scottish Premier League. So
he's flunked out of
how good could he be, really?
Yeah.
Like I said, Jones' stock, I think, kind of slightly went up.
I mean, it's okay.
He had no stock to begin with.
A lot of people have touted him before, but yeah.
I think Neal's stock continues to improve.
Except for one game was atrocious.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
Bucio is an interesting one because I don't think he necessarily hurt his stock.
His stock was so low, how couldn't it have gone up?
That's fair enough.
I mean, serious. You can't start at a Serie B team.
Yeah.
So,
So Cal.
Yeah,
I'm still Cal would be like in my hasn't really gone anywhere list. Like hasn't changed. Let me rephrase that. Hasn't changed because it's the same thing we saw in the qualifiers for the U20s, U23s, and for the Camp Cupcakes.
But he's young.
There's nothing different though. Yes, he is.
No,
I agree.
Maybe that's why you give him an extra point. I don't know. We'd have to hear it from this dude's mouth, but all the same, yeah, we can just pass over this shit because it didn't.
Yeah, Long hasn't changed. I think Long has gone down for me.
Down.
Yeah, it's got Ferreira hasn't changed. It's probably one thing that I would agree with is that he hasn't changed his stock. Vasquez, I would almost say Vasquez's stock may have increased a little bit because if his goals were in important matches.
Yep. I would have put him up there as like, well, when it came down to the final minutes of the game, he showed up.
Yeah. Gaga stock did not improve this tournament.
I mean, what?
What? You don't say.
Shocker.
All right, guys who went down: Jordan Morris, Aiden Morris, Robinson, Sonora, and Zendejas. I agree on all those.
Yep. Bad. Yeah, bad. Worse,
the thing is,
bad.
Same thing. The thing is with Aiden here.
Well, yeah, it's not fair to him. He
It's
got
not
one
fair,
game.
but I said in the first couple games that he played and came cupcakes and all that shit. I'm like, I don't see what everybody's talking about. I really don't. Maybe it's just early nerves and all that shit, but I don't see it.
He plays well for Columbus.
Yeah, it's just I haven't seen it with the national team yet.
So yeah, doesn't translate. All right, we're done for tonight because I got to pee so bad. If we don't end this show, I'm gonna pee in my pants.
Fair enough, Derek. Fair enough.
I'm fucking serious. I'm about to pee in my pants. We've been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I've been drinking potables profusely for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So I want to thank everybody for showing up for the show. If you're still here and you haven't subbed or liked the show yet, I mean, come on. What the fuck? Do it. Do it
We're on
now.
an upward track to 3,000, guys. We're nearly there.
Do it. And the final thing else. So thank you for supporting us through this ever interesting time that we're going through of growth. Growth is nice, right? That's what she said. Derek, you look handsome. Derek, you look handsome tonight. Thank you. I had to sing that. You're such a lady, Derek. You are such a lady, Derek. Yeah, okay. I don't know if that's because my bladder's weak. That means I'm older. Can't hold it in as long as I used to. But yeah, I got to go pee. And also been drinking profusely for the whole show. So before you actually hook up with your stepsister, what you need to ask is, are you attracted to her just because she is your stepsister and it's taboo? Or are you really attracted to her? You need to ask yourself that question. So until the next time on the Straight Red Card, reflect on that.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line. Or a phone call with or without one.
That hurt. I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
The articulate and intelligent
Greg's a bitch.